I see the Padawan needs one last lesson. Tell me, is it the chosen one? He will avenge us.
Because I already told you, I'm not lost. Yeah, whatever you say.
Fuck George Lucas.
Hyperdrive's acting up again, Chewie. We gotta get this thing down. What's that planet right there? Earth, huh? I got a bad feeling about this. I don't know. Call it intuition, but you remember those two jabronis we met back on Echo Base? They were from Earth. So, put the shields up. Alright, what's that landmass right there? Ship says Nevada? I don't care how you pronounce it, but if we don't get this thing on the ground, we're gonna wind up in pieces. Alright, Chewie, start the landing process. I'll see if I can get somebody on comms. What an absolute shithole. Alright, I was joking, but that was just mean. We made it. It's gonna be a couple hours until we get that hyperdrive fixed. See if there's anything entertaining on this planet. Imagine if an SJW got a hold of this stream right now. Oh my, we would be blacklisted.
We're canceled. We're canceled.
Of course, yeah. If Kenobi's a jumbled mess like that, a lot of fans are. It's not gonna be good.
The guy with the guy in the cloak with the hood, just, you know,
Again, a lot of people, a lot of people are really mad about that, man. What's up, friends of good company? How you doing, buddy?
What's up, brother? That was good.
I told you it was a night of 1,000 intros. I was getting bored. I took the day off work today. My golf partner canceled, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to go right back to 16 years old. And like, if I had this stuff when I was 16, what would I make? It would be that horrifically cheesy video. I love it.
The chat was very confused. Mission accomplished. Mission accomplished.
I couldn't help myself.
Oh,
How you doing, brother?
I'm good. I'm good. I really am.
Good. You just got out of movie. You went to go see. What did you see? You saw Shazam.
I did.
Right?
I saw Shazam too.
How was it?
You know, it was fun. It was fun. Gal Gadot made an appearance. Okay.
That's what I heard. Yeah, in the end credits.
I mean,
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No, it was perfectly fun. It's perfectly fun.
So this is the Earth transmission, currently making its way to the Falcon as Stash Rendar and Chewie are getting their hyperdrive fixed. Hopefully they enjoy it. What's up to the chat? Hello, everybody. Good to see you here. Chat already popped off like crazy, so I can't say hi to absolutely everybody, but I see all my members here. I'm glad you liked the little the little opening. I had a lot of fun making it. Star Wars Mansplain already hopped in with a very generous $20 super chat. Says, "Hello, X-Wing. F Disney Star Wars." It was a strong stance to take. We haven't even started talking yet, man. But if it's the way you feel, man, we'll dance to it. Mansplain, I hope you stick around because I want to talk to you a little bit later. I want to get your opinion in chat. We've got a lot to talk about tonight. I mean, mainly the big thing is going to be talking about Mandalorian, season 3, episode 3. Holy crap, was this way more divisive than I thought it was ever going to be. Which is fine. I certainly have my way of feeling about it. I was just so surprised that so many people were so mad that I felt the way that I did.
I mean, it's been the best episode of the series so far. So.
To you.
To everyone.
We'll get to that's a blanket statement. It's untrue. It's not to everyone, and I'll tell you what. There's a couple reasons why. And we have to talk about how, this is kind of like we won't get into it yet. There's a couple things I wanted to hit really quick if you're good with it about kind of some news going on in the universe per se.
You got the Fen Rao news, or you got something else?
The what? Oh, Fen Rao. Yeah. No.
What do you mean no?
This is about Corky.
Corky.
Isn't he like tied in with Corky?
Who's Corky?
Corky, Kreese.
Yeah, but Fen Rao, I mean. All right. Do you?
Okay. All right. I'll start. So the first thing was right here, and a lot of people have said they don't like the direct. I happen to like the direct. I don't know if I really don't know if they're like
the direct is fine. They're an aggregation source. All they do is aggregate.
Okay.
They don't pontificate. They don't editorialize. They just aggregate. So,
what's up, Cody? How you doing, brother? Yeah. So, I mean, okay, that works for me. I guess if it's an amalgamation of different sources, then I tend to think that's probably going to be okay. So one of the things that I thought was interesting was a potential comeback for Ahsoka. Is Ahsoka going to show up in Mando season 3? And apparently people are taking this tweet that she put out and basically saying like, okay, we're confirmed. Ahsoka is going to be in Mandalorian season 3 in the next episode, which I don't know if I'm super down for, but essentially what she said is doing my best at Wonder Ahsoka impression this Wonder Woman Wednesday as I Jones for the next Mando episode. # this is the way. You think this holds any weight?
So she put the tweet out after the last episode showed up, and the next episode is a whopping 30 minutes and 29 seconds.
And that's not Showtime. That's including beginning credits, ending credits.
That's just Showtime.
Oh, that's just Showtime. Okay, so that has nothing to do with the opening recap or credits or anything?
No.
Okay, good to know. Well, at least we have that.
So, I mean, and the next episode is co-written by Jon Favreau and Favreau and Filoni.
I can't wait for you to start pissing off the chat. It's my favorite.
They both co-wrote the next one. So a lot of people are saying between this tweet and the fact that there's a Filoni connection.
Anytime Filoni's on it, Ahsoka's going to show up. That's
going. But again, there's been so many other interviews about other things that are coming. That's why I asked about Fen Rao. I didn't know what.
No, apparently I haven't heard what this rumor is.
Oh, Kid's back as Fen Rao. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it later. But so now everyone's like, well, so Ahsoka's coming in the next episode, and I'm like,
who wrote the article?
Who
wrote the article?
Which one?
The Fen Rao article.
Well, Bespin Bulletin re-reported it, but it's been around.
Why haven't I seen it?
So for this and me, I'm like, my first reaction is, well, why would Ahsoka show up? And I'm like, well, so far, why have they done anything they've done? So I'm like, yeah, Ahsoka could show up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm like, it doesn't really, it's not following any kind of a logical order right now.
I mean, that was something I was kind of talking about earlier today, is it kind of seems like the ability to speculate about stuff has seemed to have died down considerably. You know what I mean? You don't see as many streams on YouTube. You don't see a lot of people putting posts up on Twitter speculating about what might occur. I don't know if that's due to kind of a little bit of apathy, or if this is due to what the story's doing. What do you think?
I mean, I think it has to be, a little bit of both of those things. But, I always talk about, I've had like 5 or 6 Star Wars conversations tonight as I've been out and about. And most all of them have been, I don't understand what's going on with the Mandalorian right now.
Ooh, is this from like casuals, from normies, or what?
Yeah, from total casuals and normies. And
really?
I'm like, yes, and even non-casuals. A lot of folks have entered into the Mandalorian season 3, coming from where we were in Mandalorian season 2.
Right. No Andor, no Book of Boba Fett, no Kenobi, none of that.
Just we've got a thing going on with the Mandalorian that has a particular formula to it.
Right.
And I'm like, well, it seems like, surrender all who enters here, right? You have to put that, you have to kind of leave that to the side, because the story they're telling, as emphasized by this last episode, is a whole different story now.
Well, I mean, really all we got was a slight bit of exposition in the first episode where they said, hey, why do you have the kid again? He's like, oh, it's complicated. That was kind of it.
In Grief's office, right?
Yeah.
Totally disrespecting everything that happened for the first 2 seasons, and then culminated in the Book of Boba Fett. So you have to put that aside. Right.
Did you see this, by the way? Carl Weathers was co-directing?
Yeah, no. So Carl Weathers is directing the next episode, but Favreau and Filoni
co-writers. So this must be, I don't know how they would bang it out in 30 minutes, but I feel like this has to bring in the Navarro aspect where you see the Mandalorians coming back.
This is going to be, that's why I'm not sure exactly about the whole Ahsoka aspect.
Yeah.
This is going to be totally, old Greg and his pirates, wreaking havoc on Navarro, and the villains are back, and all this stuff. And I'm like, so okay, right? But by the time this next episode is over, right? This is episode 4, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
It's half done. Half done.
It's halfway through isn't that insane? Halfway through the season.
Yeah.
Huh. You got to wonder what the back half of the season is at this point. I guess it would make sense for us to basically breach into the episode at this point, but I want to grab 2 other things really. Well, one of them was going to be the runtime of the episode, which I'm not super happy about.
Seconds.
That's quick, man. That's really quick.
And the next Bad Batch is like 5 minutes. The next Bad Batch is they're torturing Crosshair. It's gonna be a good
5 minutes.
It's 5 minutes less. It's like 25.
Oh, 25. Oh, okay. I'm like,
Yeah,
Jesus Christmas.
No, it's 5 minutes. The next episode of the next 3 episodes of Bad Batch are gonna be on point.
They should have really shaved down the last Mandalorian episode and added some to the other one. If I'm over there making decisions, I would have done 45 minutes and 45 minutes.
So the episode, this is so bad. This is why it's even worse than we want it to be. The last episode of The Mandalorian was supposed to be a 40-minute Dr. Pershing episode. And what we saw at the beginning and at the end was supposed to be a part of the second episode. But they said, you know what? We can't. We heard what folks said. We don't want to have another Book of Boba Fett experience with episodes 5 and 6. Because remember, episode 5 of the Book of Boba Fett had no Boba Fett at all. Episode 6 had him for 3 minutes. He's never said a word.
Yeah.
Never said one word. Right? So they're like, we can't do that again. So let's just, that's why there was that we had that beginning, it blacked out, we had the middle, and then it blacked out, and everyone's like, oh, I hope it's done. And it wasn't done. Then there was like, they're going to the, whatever that planet is. Because it was never supposed, it was.
Do we have a name for that planet, by the way?
Never named it.
The desert one? No. Okay.
But they specifically edited that all together to avoid the Book of Boba Fett phenomenon. Right.
Well, and I also feel like maybe part of that, the ending of that episode happened in the first episode because they clearly cut a scene from the first episode. Din's got the freaking the Grogu bubble on the back of his N1.
Yeah. It's very oh, it makes me so mad. It's very shoddily pasted together so far.
So, all right, I guess, yeah, let's dive into the episode full tits. Completely nude. Let's dive into this episode.
No, Maria's not here, is she? No, we don't know more full tits. Once was enough.
Oh, man, if you weren't there for that.
Emotional damage.
So, it's kind of funny because, I did the live stream because I physically can't sit down and do videos on this and spend 4 hours talking about it because I'll talk myself into circles. I'll disagree with myself, and then I won't be happy with the movie when it comes out. The video. So I decided just to do these live streams to kind of get it off my chest exactly how I'm feeling at that point. And I got to tell you, people were not happy with my reaction to the episode.
And it's been this year because I was so tired. I fell asleep on it was the State of Star Wars, or that was the one.
Wow.
Oh, and it was nothing on you. I was just so tired. I was so tired. It had nothing to do with the content of the live stream, by the way.
Shit, I don't even know. Like, I can't even tell you that. Like,
nothing.
You break my heart.
No, I was so tired. Tired.
But yeah. So I mean, essentially, I was like, dude, I feel like this wasn't a good episode, which sucks because it was bookended by some great stuff. So the beginning I thought was great. A lot of people were upset that essentially, we didn't know where the TIE interceptors were coming from. And I'm like, dude, there's an ISD parked on the other side of the planet, so they didn't see it coming because
it's not Thrawn, by the way. For everyone who thinks it's Thrawn and for everyone that's like got a hard on for Thrawn, I hate to tell y'all, it's not Thrawn. Get it? Just be done with that. It's not Thrawn. Not Thrawn.
What's your reasoning for that? Why?
Because it's Gideon, right? There's not going to be Thrawn introduced into this series because it's there's no reason.
That doesn't mean it can't be him back there, though.
It's not Thrawn, dude.
I would tend to agree. I'm just playing devil's advocate here.
By the way, Thrawn don't like Gideon. They're not on the same page. They're not buddies. Right, we're going to see a whole lot of other Imperial Remnant stuff going on here, and all of that. But anyone who's like Thrawn's going to save this season.
No, that's a really bad expectation to set for yourself.
It's not going to happen. There's no Thrawn coming.
Yeah, absolutely not. So the only thing I would argue is that, like I said, there could be an ISD on the backside. If anything, Moff Gideon's upgraded to an Isd because the amount of his cruiser is impounded.
So it's sure.
So yeah, why not? He gets one. I guess it makes sense, which I'd be super down for because that light cruiser was just not intimidating to me. And the amount of TIE fighters and TIE interceptors and TIE bombers that came out, they wouldn't have come off a light cruiser. That had to come from something much bigger. So that part didn't bother me. We get a cool scene. Obviously, we get another in-atmosphere fight. Why can't we have space fights? What's wrong with space fights? Think about every time we've had an interaction between starfighters, they're not in space.
We had a cool space fight in Andor.
Actually, come to think of it, we had a cool one in Mando too. I wouldn't call it a space fight, but when Slave One was going up against the cruiser and the TIEs were launching out of the bay, that was sick. I kind of wish we had a little bit more of that.
And I have to give them props. We got a TIE fighter pilot in a TIE interceptor. It might have been an Andor ripoff, but that's fine. They did give that to us.
You're talking about the cockpit shot?
Yeah.
When the TIE pilot's in the interceptor?
Yeah.
Yeah. I live for those scenes. I love those. It's the same shot every single time, and it's amazing.
Yeah. No, they gave it to us. And we're gonna see. This is not the only time we're going to see TIE interceptors in a battle. Again, reference Fen Rao, what I was talking about earlier. So we'll get more. We'll get more of that.
Felicity says, I'm glad that many people are enjoying the Star Wars content, but look at the scoreboard. The ratings say that people are not generally into what you like. Disney's got to get back to basics. So this is something kind of interesting that I posed a question to Josh from Den of Nerds. I said, we were kind of going back and forth on, what's going to be the thing that's going to really bring back the fan base. And, it's bringing a movie in is going to be a big thing, right? Having a movie is going to be big. And I said, even if that movie completely slaps, do you really think that that's going to bring the fandom back? And I thought he gave a smart answer. He said, no. I think what's going to bring the fandom back is a Star Wars movie or project that is going to take people like us to get hyped about and start leeching it back down into some of the smaller sects of the fan base that will get people excited about it. And I felt like that answer made sense. I mean, call me selfish. I really only care if I'm talking about Star Wars, but I guess that's just the Star Wars fan in me. There are certain things that I want to see, but I'm interested. What do you think? I mean, what's it going to take to get the disenfranchised fandom back in a good place? Because it's no small task.
I think it's a smaller task than you believe it to be, because we always approach this question in our bubble of uber fandom. At this point, if there's never another Star Wars movie again, I've moved into that sphere of acceptance. And I think the newer fandom who has come into the franchise as a result of The Mandalorian has too. I think the ship has sailed, unfortunately, in regards to the movies being as important as they should have been. And so for me now, I'm like, even if the next movie does come in 2025 or 2026, I'm like, I don't think I care anymore. Is that bad? You're muted.
I will send you to Jesus.
Dude, Disney's trying to get me down right now. What I said was, this is for you and for Mansplained.
I will send you to Jesus.
As upset as I am, I'm never going to give up on Star Wars.
Don't misunderstand me. I'm not giving up on Star Wars.
I would say not giving a shit about the next theatrical release is giving up.
Well, then fuck your own face. It's not the same thing, right? Because they have proven.
I mean, most people I've talked.
They have proven now that the next theatrical release doesn't matter to them. It doesn't matter. And so
there he is.
So I'm like, why does it matter to me? It's not saving anything. What's perpetuating the franchise will continue to be the content they put on Disney Plus. Again, whatever movie they put out in 2025 or 2026, okay, fine. It's 2 to 3 years from now. I don't care. I just don't care.
So in your eyes, there isn't a way back for the fandom. It's done.
I didn't say that because I don't.
Well,
think
you said that you think that the new fandom is going to be what's going to sustain it, essentially.
I don't think the older fandom is as checked out as you believe it to be.
You don't
That's
think
the
so?
difference. That's the difference. So it's as long as what they're putting out on Disney Plus is sustaining, I think that's why we had the Lindelof article from earlier today. He's like, yeah, I'm really scared about this next movie. I'm still trying. It's gonna be good. If it's not gonna be good, I'm not doing it. Right? Just like Taika Waititi was like, well, that rumor you're talking about, that was 3 years old.
Who do you trust more, Lindelof or Waititi?
At this point, I think the next best opportunity for a movie is Lindelof.
I would
But
agree.
given what both of them are saying, I'm like, I don't know.
It
And
kind of
again,
seems like neither of them really want to do it.
because they're so afraid of them being the nail in the proverbial coffin. So I'm like, just don't do it. Right? That's why I'm like, ugh, this. And Cody is not right, by the way. Right? If they were really losing billions, they would be doing something more actively to right the ship. Right? But they're fine. People are still coming to the parks. People are still buying merchandise. People are still watching Disney Plus. It's not as dire as our bubble makes it feel that it is. And so I'm like at this point, I'm like, well, okay, well, we just keep going. And again, much love, Cody. Much love to you. It's not that dire. It's just not. So what do we do?
I'm just gonna highlight chats. You do you think
You can highlight it all you want. They're not shutting Disney Plus down tomorrow. It's not that bad, right? So I don't know. Where do we go from here? I do not know.
I have this feeling that maybe Disney Plus is in a worse spot than we might think. Hulu and ESPN are going to be fine, right? That's not going to wax and wane. Hulu and ESPN are going to be staples. But when it comes to actual viewership, I mean, we have to look at the season opener for Mando was under the Book of Boba Fett. What was Kenobi? 2.5 million. Boba Fett was 1.7. Mando, their flagship series, was at 1.6, down from Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah, I mean, they were, you can basically call them a tie, but I'm with you.
Yeah, pretty close anyway. And honestly, for new viewers or people who are just getting in, who gives a shit about the Book of Boba Fett? That's why they're confused about what's going on in Mandalorian. So that kind of makes Mandalorian look bad because they're like, who gives a shit about Boba Fett? Well, who gives a shit about Mando? You know what I mean? It doesn't look good to me. And I'm worried because, like I said, and like I feel like kind of the last hook, the thing that I was still pumped about was Mandalorian. And so I'm not excited to see it failing. And I was not excited about episode 3. Episode 1 was kind of like, whatever. All right, we started. Episode 2, I was like, all right, here we go. Here's some good shit. Let's move it along. And then 3, it starts out amazing. And then we get 45 minutes of the adventures of Pussy Pershing and the tomboy.
Well, and the thing about episode 3, right? Again, the beginning and the end were supposed to be episode 2. And what they gave us in episode 3, that New Republic story, which you're calling the Pershing and the Katie O'Brien, that part of the story, that was supposed to be a part of Rangers of the New Republic.
Right.
And when your friend, my friend, KK said, we're going to absorb that story into the Mandalorian, here they are absorbing it.
Yeah.
And talking about a lot of things that people didn't expect to see under the auspices of the Mandalorian, right? And that's why I'm so interesting to me. I see a lot of people online. They're like, they're using Andor, sort of as a negative. Oh, they Andored the Mandalorian, right?
The Mandalorian. Yeah, I've
never
been hearing
go
that a
full-
lot.
Never go full Andor and the rest of it. And I'm like, what they're really saying is the recipe of this episode was very, very different than what we've come to realize.
Yeah. It was
first.
far too grounded for a Mandalorian, right? So that was the difference. And this is another thing because I couldn't help myself. I was talking to Josh today in his stream about him talking about this episode and comparatively. I was like, man, he's making good points, man. So the funny thing is he absolutely hates Andor. And he's like, that was a bad move for the franchise because it's too grounded and Star Wars is supposed to be campy and fun and kind of, this crazy adventure. And I would tend to agree that Andor was definitely a step into the more grounded, which is funny because for the longest time, and I think you remember Rissman as well, on one of these late nights, I'm like, Star Wars needs to be grounded. It needs to be real. We need it serious. And then Andor came out and I'm like, this is fine. It's pretty good. It's fine. It's pretty good. And then we get back to Mandalorian and we get a serious and kind of grounded episode that's much more the real life. We're going to the apartment complexes. We're seeing these interactions between these people. I'm like, this is stupid. This is fucking stupid.
and here's my problem with all this, right? It's not that it was stupid necessarily, but contextually it doesn't fit with what we've all come to understand is the Mandalorian. And that's why I'm like, you surrender all ye that you know about this. You have to put it away because they basically told us to. We had the first 2 seasons, then they fucked us over in Book of Boba Fett, and now, as evidenced by the interviews that are coming out, there are 2 co-leads in the current season of The Mandalorian, and one of those co-leads is not Grogu.
Yeah, it's Bo.
It's Bo and it's Mando. Right?
Yeah.
And they are figuring out everything that's going on about Mandalore and that storyline and everything. And then we got this New Republic sucks. And
God, hold on, save that because I want to go there. I do want to go there. I want to talk about that.
But this is we're in a whole different place now. Put the New Republic stuff to the side. We're in a whole different series now, and for a lot of the fan base, for a lot of the people that were attracted to the Mandalorian, they're still stuck on where we were for the second season.
Yeah, the absolute magic and everything that we got at the end of season 2. Absolutely. We're like, holy shit, Star Wars is back. This is it. Like, everybody put your worries in a bucket and throw them out the window. Star Wars is back. And that's not where we wound up. And I wanted to highlight this one from Doom Guy. Biscuit gift pack available at Galaxy's Edge and ESMA. That's what that whole section felt like to me. It was like the Photon Fizz ice pops and the freaking biscuits. Like, all this stuff's going to be in DLC content season 2 of Galaxy's Edge when they make this the Mandalorian.
So it's even worse than that, right? The ice pops and the fizz are 2 different things.
Right. The Bespin Fizz is what you get in the...
Yeah, but the fizz drink comes from a different place. The ice pop fell down, and she was like, she wasn't offering to buy him another replacement ice pop. She was offering to buy him a fizz drink instead. So they're not the same thing at all.
Oh, interesting.
Does that matter? Okay.
What are the ice pops called, though? I can't wait to pay $45 for an ice pop with a glow stick in it down at Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah, but her ice pop was red, so we should have all figured it out.
We should have known. We should have seen the red ice pop and known immediately. Should have known immediately. Luke says, I'm not worried just yet, X-Wing. I think you'd be happy by the end of the season. Yeah, look, here's the deal. I'm not saying Mandalorian is dead. I give up. I quit. Not at all. But I feel like it's important that when we go back through, I should be able to voice some shit that I don't like in these episodes. Like, hey, look, I think this was a tonal change, and it was not a tonal change for the good. Sam Aon for 20 euros? Pounds? I can never remember. Euros
Pounds?
is more curved on the bottom, right?
No, it's pounds. That's good. That's like $40.
Yeah.
Well,
Is the exchange rate that bad?
No, it isn't anymore. So
Oh, okay. All right. Well, Sam, I appreciate it anyway. Thank you so much. I found it disappointing that the political thriller episodes in The Bad Batch were better written than Mando's take on it. Andor was quality. I wouldn't call episode 3 anywhere near as quality as much as it wasn't for me. Lead off, because you're our resident Andor shill.
I feel like this was Andor light. Right, so they were totally. If I know some people in the chat gave up on Andor, but if you watch the whole thing through, right, this was the whole. They flipped it, right? They're like, okay, you know, the Empire was bad, you know, you were subjugated, you know, Coruscant was sad, and now here we are. Oh, it's happy Coruscant. But behind the scenes, the New Republic's bad, right? And he's in the same, you know, Pershing's in the same place as Cyril was. I think we just jazzed it up a bit, right? And the boss now, where's Blue? You know what I mean? And all these things, it's for me, it was the whole meet the new boss, the same as the old boss. That's what they're going for. And there were some parts of it that I cringed at, and we can go into it. You know, some of the dialogue was clearly not Tony Gilroy-esque dialogue. It was clearly...
You don't say.
It was clearly Noah's still around, and he and Jon Favreau got together, and it's like, you know, here we go.
Yeah.
But I get what they were trying to do. Again, my issue isn't what they were trying to do. My issue was, did it belong in this series? And
no, it didn't. It was a massive tonal change, and I think that's why a lot of people are having kind of a visceral reaction to this. Is that this doesn't, you know, one of the greatest things that people loved about Mandalorian is that it really captured that kind of campy, fun Star Wars feel, and a lot of people loved it because it was just good old fashioned fun. And to kind of bring it back down to that grounded level, that Andor type storytelling, I think a lot of people didn't like that. And I wonder, I have to wonder, is if they kept it kind of campy, would people be as mad about the Pershing story if they'd have kept it as campy? I don't know.
The Pershing story, the way they portrayed, when I saw Pershing and Katie O'Brien's character in the teaser,
what's her name? Elias?
It's Elia Kane. So apparently it's a take on a liar and Cain, as in Cain and Abel. But okay, Elia Kane is her name.
Lame.
When I saw them in the teaser material and all that, I assumed they were somehow trying to represent and get Moff Gideon released from, you know what I mean? You know, getting released from the tribunal and all that.
Yeah.
Right? And what we got was a really peculiar story about how the New Republic is becoming Empire Light. And
I feel like this was handled like Office Space. Essentially, it was handled like Office Space. That's kind of what it felt like. But really quick, I'm going to jump in, by the way, just because this doesn't pop up where I can actually highlight it on here. Corso Traven gifted 5 X-Wing memberships, and you know what that means. You know what that means. It's time to dance a little bit. Let's loosen it up in here. Appreciate it, brother. Anybody who got a gifted membership, please drop some emojis in the chat. Let me get some good emojis in here. Legion Mall says, I want to see Anakin kill younglings and then get a glow pop. Bro, that's like my happiest day in Galaxy's Edge would be like, let's go to the Youngling Slayer simulator and then we'll go get a Bespin Fizz and a glow pop. I'm happy there.
So what do we think now? Because again, we got that trailer footage that shows, the doors being, busted open, and the Jedi are there, and Grogu is looking. At this point, what do we think is going to happen, given everything they've given us so far?
Like
Who's
in
coming through
terms
that
of
door?
yeah, like who's coming through the door and stuff like that. I mean, a lot of people have. This is what I love about Star Wars fans. Like they have such fantastical imaginations. You know what I mean? There could be anybody on the end of that door. They're like, it's Mace Windu half cloned with Anakin Skywalker, and he's using his penis to cut the door. Like, they come up with some of the wildest shit in the world. If it's me really looking at this kind of normally, I have to imagine it's probably clones cutting through the door, right?
Yeah.
And then this is the beginning part of what we see the continuation of, where the Jedi are dying and Grogu's trying to get out of there.
Yeah.
That's what. Oh my gosh, I'm a moron. Hold on. I forgot to do something. We have some special guests for tonight, and I completely forgot to send a link. We are still going to do, by the way, we're going to do the rapid fire pop-ins. We're still going to do the questions.
Oh, who is it? Is it
worry
Nick or
not.
Coach? Is it both?
Worry not. We'll still do that. It's not a surprise if you know the answer.
Well, you see, where's the link? It's in the fucking chat. I mean, I can read like anyone else.
Yeah, I was on Twitter trying to do it.
I will send you to Jesus.
Do not send a link to Ghost Rider. He is the biggest Favreau shill there is. No more Favreau shills.
You know what, dude? You know what's funny? I feel like I'm starting to drift. And I know that makes you happy. I'm starting to drift.
Drift to... Oh, my...
From Favreau over to Filoni. I feel like I'm starting to drift a little bit.
Oh, my God. They're the best when they're together, but... Oh, yeah.
No, I have to pick one to have a favorite. Like, when I have kids, it's going to be horrible, because I'm definitely going to have a favorite son. You know what I mean? And then I'm going to have to lie to one constantly.
Please
He's
do
like,
not
no,
call
I love
your
you both
first...
equally.
Please do not call your first son Favreau, or I will never speak to you again.
He's going to be John Fav, my last name. The guy to save Star Wars. The man to save Star Wars. Big what's up to all of my members in the chat. Thank you guys so much for being here tonight. I'm enjoying
Speaking
the
of members, by the way, I don't mean to call you out on this stream, but I'm going to call you out on this stream. We owe the members from last month. We owe them a giveaway stream.
We are set up for currently either the 23rd or the 24th of this month.
Yeah, because I want to give this George away again.
Like we have to give the George away again. I'm still missing one person. I have it written down on my little notepad right there. There's one figure from last time's giveaway that I never got a message or anything on Twitter or nothing on Discord to actually get that figure out to you. So I can't read it from here. But you're owed, I believe, a Screaming Wookiee. As a Revenge of the Sith Screaming Wookiee figure, which you still need. So yeah, we're going to do that. All of my members, just pay attention to the community posts, because I'm going to set it. And once I set it, everybody that's in the actual stream itself will be up for the giveaways. So make sure that you're there. Awesome. And we have a special guest here tonight.
Oh, it's Nick. What's up?
What up, guys?
What's up, buddy?
Freaking working. I'm waiting on some emails. I might have to make another work call here in a little bit, but I think for the most part I got everything squared away the best I can get it squared away at this point in time till Monday at least. So, but yeah,
thanks for the update.
Yep. So I don't know how long you guys are planning on going tonight, but there's if we got time, I don't know if you guys saw Robert Meyer Burnett and Campia talking about all this today.
No, I did not.
But I don't like Campia, so I didn't see it.
But if we got time, I just want to
know who Campia is.
I want to hit the hit this video and react to it, and because it's about everything that you guys are sitting here talking about.
So question for you, Nick, before you hit the video, what was Robert Meyer Burnett's opinion on this last episode of Mando? Because I keep looking on Twitter and he's not said anything about it.
He talks about it in this video. He's not a fan.
How long is the video?
15 minutes.
Oh
boy, that's a long chunk of time.
I mean, I could fast forward to just the part where.
Why don't you just give us the breakdown? I mean, what's
I don't remember because I watched it earlier today.
Okay.
But I sent it to Coach. He watched it. He was like, "Man, they made some great points," and I was like, "Yeah, I thought so too." But I can't remember the specifics.
I'm glad to hear you say that, Nick, because I couldn't imagine that Robert Meyer Burnett would be into what we got on Mando 3 compared to what we're getting on Picard 3. It's no comparison.
Don't even think about bringing Star Trek talk up into this house. Okay.
But I know you're not a Star Trek fan, but I have to tell you, they are running circles.
I'm so excited to listen to you guys talk about it.
Circles around it. Circles.
On an Echo Base stream.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Okay, so now that you're here, let's get your opinion. What did you think? Because I already know what it's going to be, but I'm interested to hear. I know the chat's interested to hear from one side of Echo Base. What were your thoughts on the episode? And then I guess a brief rundown of what you're thinking of the season so far, because if I'm not mistaken, basically Mandalorian was kind of like your last hope for Disney Star Wars. This is the last thing you were holding on to.
Yeah, I was looking forward to this season because I was like, I think this is gonna get fans back to like, okay, now we're getting good Star Wars again, you know, because I wasn't a fan of Andor, wasn't a fan of Book of Boba Fett, wasn't a fan of Kenobi, and so I was like, okay. For the most part, other than some things here and there, I pretty much like the Mandalorian show overall. But yeah, it really hasn't been anything to write home about so far.
So just unimpressed.
Yeah, it's just been average. There's been some cool little tidbits here and there. But yeah, not really anything that I've just got super excited about.
Right.
Like I saw when they showed the mythosaur, I was like, oh, that's cool. But I wasn't like, oh my God, it's a mythosaur. Oh, everybody. I didn't start freaking out or anything.
That was me. That's the problem. So see, this is the problem with shows like this is I get a little chicken nugget and I'm like, like, holy shit, it's a mythosaur. Let's go.
Or oh my God, R5D4's with them. Oh, this is the greatest thing ever.
Yeah, I wasn't crazy about the R5D4.
This is where I go back to, right? You know, the mythosaur. Oh my God, it's a mythosaur and all that. It's like you have to be bought into the fact that this is a new story. This is not the Mandalorian. They should have called it. And we always talk about the titles, right?
The Book of Din Djarin at this point, right?
Yeah. Oh my God. They should have called it, Mandalore, we love you, right? They should have done something else, because this is not the same Mandalorian that we spent 2 seasons and 2 episodes following. This is.
Are you talking from a character standpoint or a storytelling standpoint?
Storytelling standpoint.
Right. It's the same Mando.
Yeah, but the story is a whole different story, and they really didn't do a good job, in my opinion, of setting all that up and making the transition and doing anything that makes sense. Now we're all in on who gives 2 shits about Mandalore. I
think that was the point of putting the mythosaur into it. Now people will give a shit. I'm interested. Well, here's a question, because I wanted to grab this before it gets buried. It's the curse of Gina Carano. This is something that I kind of brought up in the live stream, and obviously, for me, it's a thing. There were a lot of people who said people don't care. Normies don't give a shit about the Gina Carano firing, and I have to ask myself a little bit. If there were more people that actually cared about it that weren't involved with Star Wars, but because of their political inclinations, decided they weren't going to watch Mandalorian because of it, do you think that had play or no?
Sorry, I was responding to to this work guy, so I didn't hear anything you just said.
I think it's I personally think it's a
It's,
no.
I just
I personally think it's a part of the broader problem. Again,
right.
If you were a fan of the first 2 seasons of The Mandalorian, you were very used to the character base that they built up, and especially in the finale.
Yeah,
Right?
and a lot of people had said that what's her name? I can't, Cara Dune. Thank you. That Cara Dune wasn't even a large part of the show, but she was a massively large part of the show.
She was.
Am I mistaken?
No. Again, there was that character base. You know, when I think back at it, right, they're storming through Moff Gideon's light cruiser. It's Bo-Katan. It's Cara Dune. I mean, they're doing their thing, and at the end,
girl gang.
Yeah, you know, they're taking names, and you know, and all that. It's just.
I kind of found that to be cringe in that last episode of season 2. Like, girl power. I was just
Girl
like,
gang?
oh,
I didn't mind it at
yeah.
all, man. I really liked it when they were at the facility, and Gina and Fennec Shand were just like sniping off the top of the hill and just wrecking people as they were climbing up. I thought that was sick. It was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, whether you thought it was over the top or not, there was a recipe at play for the first 2 seasons, right? Which again culminated in the Book of Boba Fett in a really weird way. And now here we are in the 3rd season, and they just threw that recipe away. They're like, okay, we got other things going on now. You know, here we go. You know, it's all Bo-Katan and Din Djarin, and then Grogu, of course, right? And here we go.
Well, we've got the Pershing story now too. Do you think that stays, or is this something that was kind of one and done? I mean, well, obviously Pershing's done, but
we know it's not a one and done story, unfortunately, because
they wouldn't have spent that much time on it if it wasn't going to play a significance in the rest of the season.
And also, there's at least one more Katie O'Brien scene in the teasers that have been on the 30-second spots where we haven't seen yet.
Yeah, aka Vasquez Light.
we know there's more to it than we've seen. So I'm like this is, you know, this isn't the recipe for success that they've set up over the last 2.5 seasons. And again, when the interviews I saw earlier today, Filoni was like, you know, one thing I learned from George, you tell the story you're telling and the people follow.
Yeah.
You know, and you don't pay any attention, you just keep telling your story, and that's what we're doing. And I'm like, well, if the story kind of sucks,
yeah, shouldn't you change it?
I mean,
shouldn't you listen to some feedback?
Well, you have to look at where they're probably getting feedback from, right? So nobody at Lucasfilm is sitting down and watching X-Wing's late night feat Moff Rissman. No. Might not be a bad idea. I mean, the great thing is we've got a lot of diversity of thought in the chat, which is great, and actually a lot of diversity of thought here, you know, on the panel as well. But case in point, right here, Debbie Young, Mama Bear, for $10 says, "I've not given up hope. For me, episode 3 was the first subpar episode of the series. I'm not going to call it quits over that. I agree that the grudge holders over Gina and the sequels hate. Wait a minute. I agree that the grudge holders over Gina and the sequels hate Disney." I think my phrasing is incorrect there, but I get the gist of exactly what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of resentment still in the Star Wars fan base. There's a lot of resentment that has not gone away, and I constantly ask myself, they're extremely jaded. They're jaded. They're apathetic. They feel disrespected, disenfranchised, and the question is, what do we have to do to move forward to make them happy?
But listen, we left.
Linda.
Honey, listen.
Linda.
We left the 2nd season finale with Luke motherfucking Skywalker. taking names, doing great things, and being awesome, right? Being awesome in his post Return of the Jedi form and doing all kinds of great things. And then, Grogu went with him and all that. They did all of that. And what we got so far in Mando 3 is Ice Pops, and the New Republic isn't any better than the Empire. And as much as
there's something else that happened though. So anytime you're looking at an equation, you have to look at all variables in the equation, right? So yeah, we left Luke Skywalker doing amazing things. We had what I thought was going to be a setup for basically Grogu going away for a long time and then showing back up at some point, and you're like, oh shit. He's been trained by the greatest Jedi that's ever existed at this point, right? I mean, like peak Luke in the expanded universe, like post-return Luke is a living god, right? Yeah. He like transcends the Jedi at that point. So you're imagining that Grogu's coming back and being this amazing person. So they've taken that away at this point. That's gone. And on top of that, now you've thrown in Kenobi and Book of Boba Fett on top of that.
Yeah.
And then after all of that, the firing of Gina Carano, which pissed off a lot of people, that was more of a political thing and just kind of a shitty treatment of somebody by Disney, which doesn't look good by them. And then we get to Mandalorian, and we're like, whew, all right, some semblance of normality. And then we watch the episode, and we're like, what the fuck was that?
Yeah, exactly.
What are we doing, man? So
well, and Debbie just put another thing in the chat that I wholly agree with, which is they waited too long to bring us more Mandalorian, right? And again,
2 years.
I'm not disputing that Book of Boba Fett was an L, that Kenobi was an L, right? For me, Andor wasn't an L, but for a lot of folks, it didn't resonate. And now they're bringing back Mando 3. The first episode was nonsense. The second episode was cooler. The third episode was like, oh my God, I really liked it, which for me means I know a lot of people didn't, right? I'm like
usually,
what,
yeah.
What is going on here, and how? And then I read interviews, and they're like, well, we're telling the story we're telling, and they're as long as we've still got Grogu and Mando, people.
Did he train with him for 2 years? Does anybody know?
Well, Favreau said between 0 and 2.
That fucking narrows it down.
Whatever that means.
No, he got over his skis on that, and Filoni was like, "You're stupid, stop it." And so they tried to fix it up, right? So he trained just long enough, right? He probably still trained longer than
long enough to move the plot forward.
All deference to the time frame, he probably still trained longer than Luke did with Yoda
on Dagobah.
And on Dagobah, but I don't know that necessarily matters. It's worse now because we spent 2 seasons of the story trying to get this motherfucker to a Jedi.
Yeah.
That was the whole point.
Yeah. And then
we
now
ran
he's
into
just
a Jedi,
back
and we're like,
with
holy
them?
shit, Jedi. Oh my God, there's Jedi. Holy fuck, there's Jedi. And then we get into a Jedi, and it's like, nope.
Nah, I think I'm going to go back and...
You must contradict yourself.
And so, and this may be the reason why they didn't address it in the recap, because they're like, what did we do here?
Yeah.
Spent 2 seasons, 2 whole seasons trying to accomplish that, and now it's just...
So,
and they explained it in 10 minutes in Grief Karga's office.
I think 10 minutes is a rich assessment of even that time frame.
Well, but you know what I
mean,
mean, right?
I mean, 10 seconds.
Yeah.
So what's the play here? What's the play? Why are they doing this? Why would they not continue to develop the story? Like if you had to come up with a reason in your mind, why the hell would you send Grogu back immediately? Do you think it was fear of stuff not selling just because Grogu is what sells?
I think that probably played a big part in it.
It's a bad decision, man.
Yeah. I mean, when they're looking at trying to make the most amount of money from the show, theme parks, merchandise, all that sort of stuff, that all plays a factor, and they saw the draw for Grogu in those first 2 seasons. And I'm sure they're probably like, man, we got to get him back, like not feeling or thinking that Mando could stand on his own. And then they do something else with Grogu later on with Luke or something like that.
And Nick is 100% correct. And because there's been so many interviews where they never expected Grogu to take off the way that he did.
They didn't even have any merchandise.
Still, though, that shouldn't. I feel like, Favreau writing season 3, that should not have taken as much of an effect as it did, because we're through season 2. And so there's a part of me that has to wonder, was there interference in what John was trying to write? Or was this because of the basically eliminating all these other stories that we wanted to tell, specifically relating to Rangers of the New Republic, where we could have had time away from this? There could have been other things that occurred, and because it didn't, now, oh shit, we got to get Grogu back within, like, immediately.
Yeah, I think that probably played a big part of it. Because they had these plans for Rangers of the New Republic, but they should have just had Cobb Vanth take that role, still tell the same story, but just put him in Gina's spot. Because they show him with the same badge, in Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah, the Marshal badge.
Yep.
Don't worry, Nick. Before this season is over, we will see Cobb Vanth as the Marshal of Navarro. It's coming.
You think so?
100%. 100% it's coming.
Makes sense. They got to get him into place for the climactic event, right?
Yeah.
Bo and Debbie Mulder brings up a really good point. Really dumb or so stupid, Grogu and Luke would sell big.
Yeah. Like, do you remember after that season 2 finale, everybody's like, the rumors of a Luke show coming out.
With
all that.
The guy who played Winter Soldier, I can't remember his name right now. As
Sebastian
Shaw.
Stan.
That's Stan, right?
Stan, not Shaw.
Yeah,
Sebastian Shaw was from
Sebastian was from Return of the Jedi.
Star Wars brain. Apologies.
Yeah, but they and people were excited for that. So it doesn't make any sense why Disney wouldn't have done that. Like, this goes all back to what I say all the time. The people over there are completely disconnected from the fan base. And they're just not giving fans what they want.
What fans, I think, is really the biggest, and this is something that we don't look at because, it's taken me a long time to realize, but we are in a bubble.
Yeah.
We're in a bubble for sure. And sometimes it's tough because you feel so strongly about something. You're like, why wouldn't every Star Wars fan feel this way? But the bottom line is there are a lot of fans who just came in at the sequel trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
Or even better, Mando.
Mandalorian.
That just came in at Mando. And we're all bitching about how, like, this is terrible. This is awful. Like, imagine coming into breaking...
It's not, again, just my 15 people I've talked to tonight. It's not that they thought it was horrible. It's like they don't understand it. They're like I went through these other things and now we're doing this. It's weird. I don't understand it. And I'm like, well, you're not alone. It's a lot of us that don't understand it.
Yeah, funny. Our salties kind of feel the same way. We have no idea what's going on or why.
Yeah.
But there was so much cringe in this last episode with that whole middle section. I was facepalm. Did you watch mine and Coach's reaction review?
I did. I didn't watch you all on the Patreon because that was like but I watched your
the cut version on YouTube.
Yeah, the 60 minutes and then the worst. And me and Coach talked about it, and I'm with you all. I mean, I'm like, your feedback was not,
unexpected.
Black pills. I get you, right? I was like, okay, I can see what you were saying. And again, today I've heard so many people who are like, we love The Mandalorian, but we don't know what we just watched. And my mother, my 78-year-old mother, she's like, well, I watched, Mandalorian episode and, Picard season 3 episode today. And she's like, and I was like, yeah, which one do you like better? And she's like, well, I like Picard better because I understood what they were talking about.
Yeah.
Hello.
Picard is definitely doing better than Mando. But have you watched Angry Joe's
no, I haven't watched Angry Joe
review on this last episode of Picard? They were not a fan of this last episode. And I was like, they love last week's episode. They're like, oh, 10 out of 10. Like this was a freaking great episode. But yeah, they're
maybe I'm just a sucker for a show that takes a 29-year-old unfinished character arc and finishes it, right?
Yeah, I liked it. I liked the episode.
But I mean, it comes back to casual viewers, looking at a series that's well written, And that's where, where I go back to on, do we think Mando season 3 is well written? And I'm like,
no.
I'm like, I was like, I don't think it's well written. I think it's, again, it's written like, well, it's Star Wars. Star Wars is stamped on this series, so people are going to watch, so let's just go through the motions. I don't think it's very well written. I just don't.
I found R&B's clip. It's literally like less than 2 minutes, I think.
I'm happy for you to play the 15 minutes, but it's X-Wing's show, so
we can take a look at it. I mean, I don't want to get copyrighted, but
oh no. Campia doesn't go after people for reacting to his.
But I hate Campia.
Yeah,
I don't hate him. I just don't like him.
Yeah,
which one's Campia? He's top left, right?
Top left.
Yeah, okay. I know RMB on the bottom. I don't know the other two guys.
Yeah, they just worked there on the show. But here's what R&B said about it.
It could have been. Look, I think here's the problem. The problem is we're 3 episodes in, and what is the story that's being told? There's, you have to understand what the narrative thrust is in any story, and we're now 2 hours or 2.5 hours into this. I don't know where this is going. I have no idea. I mean, and if you look at our other big projects, whether it's House of the Dragon or anything, what the story is, and a story is supposed to bring you along. I don't know where I'm going. Now that the Mandalorian is back and he's part of the fold again, and they've allowed Bo-Katan to hang out, is that story now done? Now they have to start a whole new. What are they going to do now? What is the Mandalorian going to do? I have no idea. And we're going to go into episode 4 of an 8-episode series, and we're going to now start.
Yeah, Taylor, look that up. How many episodes?
We're going to start a new story. The Mandalorian has been redeemed. He is part of the fold, and it's like, okay, well, now we're going to start. Well, here's the next story.
I'm glad you brought that up, because one of my again, I have been enjoying this season. I like.
So that was just his quick take on it.
It's the same thing that I have also said, which is, what is the point now? Right? They haven't.
I feel like I can push back. So I'm always devil's advocate, but on this one, I feel like I have a little bit of actual like skin in the game, or a little bit of salt behind the sand on this one. Is that I understand that when we look back on why is Grogu back with Mando, like that makes no sense. That was a bad storytelling decision, right? But now we're here, so let's move forward from that. When it comes to Mando season 3 and the story that we're telling, I feel like I have to push back a little bit on John, which is probably never a good idea. And I love the guy. I had the chance to talk to him on live. Great dude. Always has good takes.
Who's the great dude? R&B.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
You
no, I
said
haven't talked to
John.
John.
You said John. I'm just trying to clarify.
Oh, did I say John? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I haven't talked to John Campia. No, but I did get to talk to RMB on that was a dark stream. I think it was on your channel, Nick.
Yeah, I think it was.
But for me, when it comes to Mandalorian season 3, I feel like, at this stopping point, to his point, we're almost halfway through. I wouldn't agree with him until we get to the end of episode 4. Because I feel like there have been setups to this point. It's a little bit like Andor, where we're like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
What is going on? We have no idea. But we're being carried along. So I disagree with him there. We are being carried along with the story. We are being carried along. They're giving us different aspects of what is going to build up to ultimately the full story of the show. But
this
go for it. Go.
This is why I'm so on the same page as R&B on this particular case, because everything you said, X-Wing, I get you.
Oops,
right?
wrong one.
But you're coming with it as you followed it along from the first 2 seasons of Mandalorian and what happened in the Book of Boba Fett. And so where we started in the Mandalorian season 3 and where we're going makes some sense to you. What R&B just said in that clip, what I heard him just say in that clip was, it's a failure in storytelling. And I agree with him 100%, because they did an awful job respecting the chain of story that they've been telling since the first 2 seasons. And they did it, this is editorializing, but he editorialized it the same way. They did it because they felt like it's Star Wars, people be okay with it. It's lazy fucking storytelling.
I agree.
It's John Favreau again doing what he does. This is not Tony Gilroy. Tony Gilroy would never do this.
He would never.
And,
Sorry,
and
I had
he
to do that.
didn't do it in Andor to his detriment.
Could they have fixed that in episode 1?
They could have. Oh my gosh.
I mean, I think they literally could have fixed it in editing, because the thing is, like, if you watch House of the Dragon, Game of Thrones, Breaking Bad, there are multiple story lines going on all at the same time, and they are bouncing back and forth between them, to keep the audience engaged. When I watched episode 3, we start off, they come up out of the water. We find out that she's not revealing what she saw down there. Then right into a space battle, TIE interceptors, house getting bombed, all this action. They're getting away. They go back with the other cult leader, Mandos, on Alligator Island and redeem himself and all that sort of stuff. And then, boom, we cut from all that to this slow, boring, nonsensical Dr. Pershing thing. And we get that for like 38 minutes. And then boom, right back to Mando. It's like, okay, now, all right, back to the show. They turned the channel for a little bit there. And it's like, if you would have given us that, if they would have recut these first 3 episodes and spread that Dr. Pershing stuff throughout,
right,
it would not have been as bad.
So traditional Star Wars storytelling, where you have 3 stories going on at once, right? Or 2 stories, even at that. So you've got the story of Luke doing one thing, and Han and the gang doing other stuff, kind of in that. I would agree, and I think that would have been a better way to do it. And beyond that, to your point, this episode, they could have cut, if not sticking it in the other episodes, they could have cut half an hour out of the shit with Pershing and achieved the exact same result.
But the interesting thing to me, I don't know whose comment you just highlighted. I couldn't find it again, but they said it wasn't fun, and this was my biggest. This was my Bo and Debbie Mulder. Good to see you. This was my biggest issue with a detractor on Andor. It wasn't fun to watch.
Yeah.
Right? And this last episode of Mando,
Star Wars should be fun.
again, they ham-hocked in 2 parts that weren't even supposed to be in the stupid episode, just to try and give it something, right? But the meat and potatoes of the episode, the 40 minutes that was intended to be episode 3,
Yeah.
it wasn't a fun watch. That's why I called it the Mandalorian. For
They
me,
tried to make it fun though. That's the shit that pissed me off. Is they're like, oh, we made a joke about touching the rock.
Yeah.
no, but those
bad.
this is where I have to be very specific, right? Those silly things about touching the rocks and the jugglers and the magicians and all that was supposed to be the sham of the New Republic, right? Here we are. You know, everything is groovy here on Coruscant. Everything. Look at all this fun stuff. You've got blow pops, and you can go and do these things and all these other stuff. But it was just them projecting the same way that they put Pershing into the opera house. We never. This is so interesting, right? We never got the impression they were there to see an opera. We got the impression they were there for his TED talk, and that was the New Republic saying, "Look how good we are. We got the best from the Empire. He's here helping us. We have so many things going on, or whatever." He's an office worker, but nobody know that.
Yeah, that was so dumb. Like thousands and thousands of people are coming to listen to this guy speak, and then boom, cubicle office space in Star Wars. I'm like, what?
This is supposed to show the fallacy, the fakeness of the New Republic. They're like, we're gonna bring these, but we're gonna tell you everything. Here's how good we are.
Basically, Empire Light.
We brought these folks here.
Well, they made the Empire look better than the New Republic, and all of a sudden that giant Death Star beam that blew up Posnian Prime doesn't look so bad. It's like, yeah, they were fucking incompetent anyway. Blow them up.
All I'm saying is that whole point was, you know, Pershing's like, I am here. I have all these great ideas. You know, I'm the best of the best. Here's why I did what I'm so happy to be here. They brought him to say that very specifically, knowing that he's an office worker
at the Opera House, which was done
like,
from Member Berries. We can all agree.
Office worker. He was always an office worker, right? And so I'm like, as much as I love that intrigue, is that the Mandalorian series? The answer is no. No.
They could have done a whole new show called Pershing to talk about all that.
Yeah, that nobody would have watched.
And so
I'd be honest with you though, when they went to that opening and they cut it the exact same as as Revenge of the Sith, and it was the same clap noise from the movie too.
Remember Berries? They got you. They got you.
They got me, dude. Immediately I saw it and I'm like, they understand Star Wars. It didn't go well for me after that, but
that actually, I have to tell you honestly, that made it worse, right? The fact that it was the same red carpet, the same steps, it was you know what I mean? It hadn't
been changed in,
for me,
30 years.
It would have been better if we had seen Moff Gideon on trial in the Senate chamber.
Yes.
Yeah, that would have been a lot better.
What we got with Pershing on a parent TED talk in the opera house with no fucking opera.
Dude, what if they gave us Gideon on trial in the Senate building and then his breakout and escape on Coruscant? So like, after the trial, he's like rolling along in Coruscant and all of a sudden shit blows up. Gideon's getting fucking yanked into another ship and taken off. Like,
but they've already given us the fact that he
escaped at the table. He escaped the tribunal. That was all they needed to not use any of that amazing content that they could have used.
And by the way, the whole fact that any of this took place on Coruscant was 100% member berry.
Yeah.
Chandrilla, at this point in the New
Moff
Republic,
Gideon has escaped.
at this point
Somehow.
in the New Republic, Chandrilla is the capital. It was said in Mandalorian when they were in the school that droid said the capital now is Chandrilla. So the fact that anything happened on Coruscant was just a total fuck you.
That's a really good point, but a massive nitpick.
But it should. There's no reason why we should be back on Coruscant.
If they made that the lore and the continuity, they should stick to it.
Yeah.
It's in their own fucking series.
Yeah.
The New Republic's capital is Chandrilla. And somehow, we're there because they've needed the space. So the amnesty program, we're in this higher. No.
I glossed completely over that, but just the fact that you were watching Mandalorian and you're just like,
What the hell is even that?
makes me so happy.
It's
All right, Debbie Young for $4.99. Thank you so much. Pershing was there to sell propaganda, not pomp and circumstance. You do what you're told.
Yeah.
I would agree. Yeah.
I'm just waiting in the next episode for Vasquez Light to kick in the cell door of Moff Gideon and be like, "It's ma'am," and then grab him and run off.
well, and so Nick,
I hated that character.
I know you're joshing, but I'm like just on that throwaway comment of the rest of the the Imperial amnesty folks saying, "Oh, we heard he escaped." They've now totally distanced us ever having to see how it happened.
Yeah. It's been, yeah, exactly. Yeah. They mentioned he escaped. I missed that part from Corso. Yeah. When they're sitting at the table talking about the biscuits they're going to sell at Galaxy's Edge.
No, he said, "Oh, I heard he didn't, I heard he didn't, he escaped from the tribunal and blah, blah, whatever." And I'm like, "Oh, is that really what we're doing right now?"
Yeah, that was it, man.
Seriously?
I feel like that would have been such an awesome scene to see Imperial Remnant. And hey, look, you never know. They might still do it in this season. You never know.
Nah.
That's kind of my thought, but you never know. They could do something where they show Moff Gideon escaping. But man, that would be such an awesome scene, and it would give so much weight to show that this dude was not operating alone, because the way that they've played it at this point was Moff Gideon was operating alone on a light cruiser, and that was it. But that's not what he was. He was an Imperial warlord. So if they show that he's got more pull.
But what they are going to show with Moff Gideon and some of the rest of it, I think, is going to be very satisfying for those of us who are Imperial focused. But what they've done so far has been really shitty storytelling.
Yeah.
It just hasn't been good.
It's not tight.
Yeah, and something else that I found extremely stupid, and I watched Darth Melvin's video on this, and he pointed this out. In the Aftermath book, Mon Mothma gets rid of 90% of the Alliance fleet.
Why the
fuck
idea.
would you do that?
You know what? I feel like that's a very American thing, though. We're like, we got guns. No, I'm not getting rid of them.
But so I have to say,
strength through power, man.
Demilitarizing the New Republic was a big thing.
This
that
is
was a
something
big
they
thing.
They covered this in this episode when Office Space Supervisor was like, "Happy Bendu's Day," right? And Pershing was like, he was like, "What am I doing?" or whatever. He's like, "Well, we're the supervisor was like, well, we're so strung out. We gotta get all this stuff done from the Imperial fleet, and we're decommissioning the Alliance fleet. Also, we have to get all this done. This is the whole part of this story that people are like, oh, here we go again."
Who did Aftermath?
Right?
Was that Chuck Wendig?
We're progressing forward on the whole fact that Mon Mothma, God bless her, I mean, my girlfriend, right? God bless her, but she was, there was two factions in the New Republic. Yes, there was the demilitarized, the decentralized, and then there was the centralized, let's keep it strong. Let's keep going like we did. That ends up being the First Order. And here we go. They're setting it up. Setting it up.
I'm starting to believe that ChatGPT could write better Mando stories than what John and Dave are doing right now.
I don't know that I'm that far down that road,
because I'm starting to really become disconnected. Now I'm not like giving up on the show and being like, "Oh, it's over." It's done. Like
it's dead.
I'm
it's
out.
dead,
It's
Nick.
dead.
We gotta kill it. Put it down.
Yeah. I haven't gone full Darth Melvin yet on the series, but man, my confidence level is weighing big time.
I'm a little shaken after. So, first episode, it's like, okay, sometimes we falter and we got to get back up. Episode 2, it hit for me. I liked episode 2. I bumped that all the way up to like a 7.5. Which is a very, very fair rating if 10 is like perfect. 7.5 is pretty goddamn good rating. And then 3 hit, and I'm just like, oh, perhaps my faith was misplaced.
This is why I
definitely
say
not liking it.
This is why I say I'm totally the outlier here, right? Because for me, episode 3,
you got Andor again,
is the best because I have abandoned and overcome those barriers to entry. I'm like, this is not the Mandalorian anymore. This is not the first 2 seasons. I have to put the Luke thing aside. I have to understand what happened in Book of Boba Fett. This is a whole new story now. And I'm like, okay, well, I like Katie Sackhoff. I like Bo-Katan. It's like, okay, they're giving me a post-Empire story. I'm like, all right, this is good, but this is not normal. I am not normal.
So, essentially, the only thing I could think of that it might be basically you could compare it to, an analogy for this would be like watching A New Hope, watching Empire, and then at the beginning of Empire, everybody's back together. The whole gang's back together, and you're just like, what the fuck happened? And they just say as they're drinking Bespin fizzes, it's complicated. What?
Yeah. And apparently this next episode's we're going right back to like 28 minutes.
It's 30 minutes. It's 30
really
minutes
short.
And 39 seconds. Excuse me. And it's co-written by Filoni. And so whether you think that means Ahsoka's showing up or not,
it's gonna be
I think it's very, very clear we're going to get that, the pirates are back and got to defend Navarro and we got to do
I forgot about the pirates. Please don't put them in this season. Please don't.
Dude,
can we just all vote to not have old Greg and the pirates and Mandalorian, please?
It's coming.
It's
coming.
I hate to break it to you, but not only are they in this season again, but I think they're the same pirates we're going to see in Skeleton Crew.
That would not surprise me at all.
And I think somehow Jude Law is teaching in that same school.
Shit, I don't even know. Like, I can't even tell you that. Like,
I'll be right back, guys.
We have to temper our expectations, and we just have to go with it. Now again, let me be a little bit non-gloomy, right? So there's been a leak for a while that says it always goes back to Lego. It's always about Lego. That there is a Lego set coming, and the Lego set is Fang Fighter versus a TIE Interceptor. And yes, we've seen TIE Interceptors. Okay, cool. But Bo-Katan's ship her ship's already been done. It's a gauntlet. A Fang Fighter is known for Concord Dawn. And there is a very solid rumor now that says...
Isn't it Concordia?
Concord Dawn is one of the moons around this place.
Oh, maybe the city's Concordia, the planet's Concord Dawn.
And at that time in Rebels, if you think about them, the super commandos, right? They got imperialized.
Yeah.
But Fen Rao was the boss of those for a minute, and then he ended up helping. Sabine because he knows all about the Vizslas. He helped her with the Darksaber, and then Bo-Katan showed up. All that kind of stuff. He's coming. The rumor says that
Old Greg is coming.
Not old Greg. The rumor says that I think his name is Kevin Kidd, the guy that voiced him, got cast in in The Mandalorian, and he's coming back as Fen Rao, and he will be, I believe, in that Fang Fighter, in that whole exchange, and the Lego set will follow suit.
Doom Guy just sums up completely exactly what these pirates are, though. There was one that literally said, "Avast, ye Mandalorian." Avast.
I'm just waiting for them to be like, "Arr."
Avast.
All right.
Over under in the script.
Listen, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm kind of retarded.
Over under 60%, we get an R before the end of the season from the pirate.
Dude, I don't even know, man. I don't want to take odds on either. Open up the broadside cannons. Like
it's Disney doing Disney, right? So
yeah, they're gonna reskin Pirates of the Caribbean from Mandalorian.
But again, put the pirates to the side, right? Fen Rao was fucking awesome. I'm like, bring him back.
Which one was he?
He was the one of the original old Mandalorians that helped train Sabine on using the Darksaber.
It's Rebels.
Oh, okay. He's not dead. He's still alive.
He's not dead. Yeah.
Okay.
And he followed Bo-Katan when she was the boss lady, and then after that didn't work out, he kind of faded away. But apparently, they're bringing him back. So again, as much as I find that storyline boring, I'm like, let's do something interesting, right? And Christopher Lloyd's coming, and some other things are happening. I'm like, but you're losing me and a lot of the folks I talked to so far trying to get there on your tentpole franchise. I'm like, why are you this fucking stupid?
It's becoming somewhat kind of generic sci-fi at this point. It's bleeding away kind of its cultist and ritualistic historic origins and just becoming kind of generic sci-fi. And it's
generic sci-fi might be X-Wing. Generic sci-fi might be better.
What's up, Nate? How you doing?
Yeah, generic sci-fi might be better.
I'm just telling you, as a fan of The Expanse and so many other
things, The Expanse kills this show.
So many other things
writing wise.
I'm like, how have we gotten to the point where the Night Sky on Prime that I watched is better from a rating perspective than a Star Wars franchise? Oh, King's Advisor says my language is bad, X-Wing. Am I cussing too much? It is late night.
I didn't notice it. Yeah, this is late night. You can say whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah.
I might pull my nipple out just for fun.
Fuck you, Caleb. But I'm just saying, I mean, there's so many examples of things that I watch as throwaway series on Apple TV Plus, on Netflix, on Prime,
and they're exceptionally well written.
That are amazingly well written because they're based on books, or they have the original creators involved, or they're labors of love. And what we're getting here is Jon Favreau, like, fuck you, whatever. Yeah, fine.
I feel like this is the hubris of Disney and Lucasfilm and basically Hollywood in general, is that you're handed these machines that can print money, and you think you can put whatever the fuck you want in it and it's going to print money for you. And the bottom line is it does not work that way. And what kind of sucks is I know there are so many people that work on these projects that are lifelong fans of Star Wars, amazing people that have contributed. I mean, Doug Chiang is always the one that kind of pops to the front of mind. Amazing people that have done such amazing things for Star Wars that when I look back and I think about stuff that has happened in Star Wars, they're right at the forefront. And they're still involved with these projects. And when I say shit like, oh my God, Star Wars is taking a fat dig, I'm talking to that guy. And it hurts. It hurts, man.
Quality control over there is non-existent.
Yeah, QC department needs to
step up their game.
Can we let Doug Chiang write a series? Can we just let him write a couple?
That'd be great.
Episodes?
I would love it. You know what he should do? He should do a series on pod racing. We follow a young kid who starts in a pod racing circuit and yada, yada, yada. Take it on from there. Doug, you got it. Like, you have the ship, bro.
Terry Matalas is a bigger Star Wars fan than Star Trek fan. I'd like to see Disney get Terry Matalas to come do something, because what he's doing with Picard season 3 is pretty good so far.
Yeah.
But the reason why I'm with you, Nick. But the reason why it's so good is he brought the Akutas back. He brought Doug Drexler back. He brought the people back that created that franchise from the ground up, and that's why I'm like we still have those folks.
What are we talking about here?
We're talking Star Trek again.
What are we talking about?
But we have those same folks still in ILM, right? Doug Chiang is there, and then they brought back what's his name to help him with the Mandalorian.
Phil Tippett.
Yeah, Phil Tippett came back.
Yeah.
So it's not that they can't. It's not that they don't understand how to tap into that. The difference between the two experiences is the writing.
Yeah, it's on polar opposite ends.
That's what sucks, man, because this whole season has looked like a goddamn movie. The season is gorgeous. They've clearly learned how to use... Yeah, they've clearly learned how to use the volume to make it not feel like the volume. Yeah. They've clearly learned exactly what it needs to look. I mean, the CG of the ships coming into Mandalore.
I have a nitpick, though. I do have a nitpick. If you look back at the TIE interceptors when they approached them, they looked cartoonish. They didn't look good.
Some faraway CG shots don't look good.
Didn't look
Some
good.
of them.
They looked like gnats.
Small thing for me.
But after that, 100% agree with you. They did it. They've done a great job on production value in Mando 3. And the interviews that I've read and then Nick's got for tomorrow night has said they listened and they focused on it. They wanted it to be cinematic, and they had to do that because Andor, they knew when people watched the production value of Andor, whether you like the story or not, whether you thought it was Star Wars or not, you cannot dispute that the production value on Andor was primo cinematic. And they're like, well, we got to follow this shit. And so
it was by Hollywood standard absolutely gorgeous, and I would agree to a point. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, everything was done perfectly. Does that make it Star Wars?
No. I'm not trying to say it does or doesn't make it Star Wars. All I'm saying is they knew Mando 3 was going to follow it, so they had to step up their game on the production value of what we're getting. Because for me, I'm like, well, they're not reusing the same shitty sets. I don't see the same set I saw in Book of Boba Fett and Mando and then Kenobi, or I mean, like, all right, they're trying, and they're doing some things that are very, very good from a production value standpoint. So I'm not disputing the production value. I'm just saying the writing still is a little. It's the same Noah. No, God bless Noah. He's still got a job. Noah's the same Noah that was apparently responsible for fucking up Book of Boba Fett. Well, Noah's still here. It's good. He's still here. I'm so happy he still has a job. Right? So I mean, again, it's like I don't know how you screw up your tentpole project. I really don't. I don't know. What do you think, Nick?
I think they're completely ruining this season, and they better step their game up pretty quick, because we literally only got 5 episodes left.
Yeah, we're almost halfway through. It was 8 episode season, so we got next one is what, episode 4, isn't it?
Yeah. Yep. So
let me ask a different question. How does this experience make you think what's going to happen in Ahsoka? Because Ahsoka is next.
So I'm looking forward to the Ahsoka.
What are you looking forward to in Ahsoka? Why do you say that?
Really, the only thing I'm looking forward to is to see what they're going to do with this whole world between worlds thing, so that conversation can be over and done with. Because it's been talked about and gone back and forth about for the last, I don't know, 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
And I'm ready for the fans to just have an answer one way or another. And so really that's what I'm looking forward to with the Ahsoka show more than anything. Because I don't really, honestly, I don't give a shit about Ahsoka.
You don't give a shit about the character of Ahsoka.
Yeah. I thought she was great, in the parts that she was in Mandalore, in the Mandalorian season 2. I liked her character. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I really don't care about Ahsoka.
I thought, you know what? When I first heard it, it was a little bit like Heath Ledger. It was like Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka. That doesn't make sense. Like Heath Ledger is the Joker. What the hell?
Yeah.
Where was all the outrage for the Ahsoka casting?
Yeah.
Didn't exist.
My issue with
she does a great job.
Yeah, I was gonna say my
issue.
With
I thought she killed it.
It's not Rosario Dawson, right? It's as a huge Rebels fan, I'm like, all right, how are they going to screw up Ezra? Is he
Ezra's going to be a tough one.
Is he going to be just one more downtrodden Jedi who ended up in Tatooine, who buried his lightsaber? Right? What are they doing with Ezra? And the biggest issue for me with Ahsoka is, what about Thrawn? How people have so much invested interest in the character of Thrawn.
There's like Luke and then Thrawn. No, Luke and then Anakin and then Thrawn.
And this is why I'm like, everyone's like, well, those TIE interceptors in Mando is going to be Thrawn. I was like, please don't bring Thrawn into Mando 3. We have enough crazy things going. No Thrawn here. Let them ruin Thrawn in a different series, because I think...
Don't talk like that, bro.
No, but
let them ruin Thrawn.
But for a lot of people who are still holding on to the fact that we're going to get Zahn's Thrawn in Ahsoka, we're getting Filoni's Rebels Thrawn. We have to enter into that series understanding that that's the Thrawn we're getting, and we have to go from there. And I'm like,
I don't know though. I mean, we got Zahn Luke.
Dude, don't fool yourself. We're getting Rebels Thrawn. There is no other version of Thrawn we're getting, and this is why I'm like, everyone's like, oh, Ahsoka's gonna be the one. I'm like, oh my god, we're gonna be having such a fucking hard conversation when Ahsoka comes out.
What conversation?
It's not my Thrawn. Is it your Thrawn? And they dumbed down Thrawn. And what's Ahsoka doing? And what's the point? And why is Ezra a bitch? Now, I can just hear it coming.
I'm excited for that because if anybody wants to go to bat with me about the character of Thrawn, you are more than fucking welcome. I'll send you my email. Let's talk.
And King's Advisor's like, y'all not like I love Thrawn. I love every version of Thrawn we've gotten. I have no issue with the Rebels Thrawn. But a lot of people don't like that version of Thrawn.
He was fine, but it wasn't Thrawn.
Well, that's exactly my point.
Yeah.
But he was fine. That's the thing. He was fine. He wasn't Thrawn, but he was fine.
But X-Wing, he is Thrawn. For all intents and purposes, for what's going on, you are part of the problem. He's not Thrawn. He is Thrawn. He is this version of Thrawn that we're getting. You're kind of making my point.
You remember what Timothy Zahn said to us in Nashville last year when we asked him about all this?
No.
He said, if Filoni's writing Thrawn, I'm hopeful he's going to get the character right or something along those lines.
Yeah.
Did he not, Matt?
He did.
Yeah.
He did. But the problem with that commentary is, Nick, I think
I don't agree with him, though.
From Zahn's standpoint, getting it right, I feel like that Star Destroyer is already flown through space, right? And like X-Wing just said, he's like, blah, blah, and this. I was like, nah, man, you are already gonna be pissed off because we are going to get Filoni's Thrawn. If you believe I'm wrong, you're in La La Land.
So let's talk about Filoni's Thrawn for a little bit. Do you feel like that character, because to me, in my mind, that Thrawn is a lot more shallow as a character. Nowhere near as interesting as Zahn Thrawn.
That's I mean, how
so can that Thrawn hold up the evil villain of the Emperor of the timeline that we're talking about?
He's not this is my issue, right? It's everyone's like, well, Thrawn's gonna be the big bad and all that. I'm like he's not bad. Right? And what we saw with Thrawn in Rebels was
he was evil.
He wasn't. he was sinister, but he wasn't evil, right? He was really, really tough, but he was just trying to get through it. And I'm like, this is why I'm like, everyone's like, oh, Thrawn, blah, blah, whatever, and all this.
He seemed to give a shit about the Rebels, though, in Rebels, which obviously you would have to do with the show. But Thrawn didn't really fuck about the Rebels.
He cared about their history, right? He cared about understanding
as Thrawn should, yes.
From.
Yeah.
But he didn't really care about them, right? So I'm like, they really have to nail Ahsoka. Otherwise, I don't know that it's going to be any better than this experience we're getting in Mando 3.
There are a lot of people that want to nail Ahsoka, but here we go. Daisy Blossom Flower Child for $20 says, Happy St. Patrick's Day. I should have had the dance. It should have been an Irish jig for today. Thank you so much, Daisy Blossom Flower Child. My friend, it's good to see you here. Thanks for being here tonight. So, yeah, when it boils down to it, I guess when we look at the future of Star Wars, at least over the next 2 years, there's a lot of skepticism. There's a lot of worry. But we don't have anything to do but just to sit and let it happen.
Yeah, I mean, that's all we can do.
Yeah.
Sit, let it happen, watch it, give our takes, praise it, bitch about it, and the world will keep on turning.
You guys ready for some rapid fire pop-ins?
Oh, they're still doing it?
Every late night, man.
Yeah.
We're doing this. This is going on forever.
Before I go to the bathroom, I just have to say we have 2 more years ish of Disney Plus content before we get anything that might be a movie. So we have to be ready.
Yeah. Oh, I'll be on YouTube. Don't worry. All right, I've dropped the link in the chat. We are gonna do some rapid fire pop-ins. So we're gonna pop you in. It's nothing against anybody. If we hit like that 1 minute mark, I'm gonna pull you. We'll talk about it. If it's a philosophical conversation, we got to run a little bit over. We'll do that. But the link is in the chat right now. If you want to pop in and talk to he did not put that as his profile picture. Rage. Rage. If you want to pop in, we can ask you, we'll ask you what you think about the episode. We'll run a couple random questions by people, or if you want to ask us something, you can do that as well. Go ahead and click on the link, pop in, and we'll get you in here. How you doing, Nick?
Doing good. Sitting here responding to freaking work emails. Crap.
Isn't it like 11 o'clock there?
Yeah. I'm on the clock till midnight.
Oof. Well, you're almost out of there.
Yeah, almost done.
Is this going to be the first night where we don't get random pop-ins? Usually there's like 6 people already. We've got nothing. Drop it one more time.
Come on, somebody go a sack, man.
Oh, did I scare everyone away? No one.
I think he did. Yeah, nobody popped in. I dropped the link and nobody popped in.
Well, Ghost Rider must not still be here.
Probably. Yeah, he left.
What was my pick?
He heard me say like, "Oh, I'm leaning towards Filoni." He's like, "Fuck this, I'm out."
Oh, that was not my. That must have been a coach one.
All right, we got our first one. All right, Hawk Starwin is gonna pop in. What's up, Hawk? How you doing?
Hey guys, how's it going?
Oh, thank God,
I'm chilling.
Thank you for popping in clothes. We love that.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome, guys. You're
All
welcome.
right, what do you want to do? Do you want to ask us a question, or you want us to ask you a question?
Let's go with ask me a question. I'll take that. I think that'll be better.
Before we do that, Hawks, is that a child in the background?
No, I don't even know what that is actually.
To your left. No, your right, our left. I thought I saw a child in the background.
Oh no. That's just my wife.
Oh, okay. Who is in the background?
No, that's the missus. That's the missus.
Okay.
Don't worry.
Is she a Star Wars fan?
She is a Star Wars fan. Although before I get to you guys asking me a question, I gotta say that she wasn't as pleased with the episode either.
Okay.
It was
Star Wars fan. Yeah, smart girl. All right, good marriage proposal. Nice work.
Right, I know, right? I mean, that whole Persian thing, 40 minutes on it, too much. 20 minutes should have been fine. I think it was well written, but way too much time. Just 20 minutes out of here. Let's continue with the Mando story, but that's just me, right? Obviously the missus as well, right? But
Anything else you want to say about the episode, or anything you're hoping for moving forward in the series?
I'm sorry, Hawks. I ask the question.
All right. So I think like if we take the Persian thing aside, right, and we start talking about, I think this question had a lot of good questions for us to follow up. Like, what does Bo want? What is Din's role now that he's now technically again a Mandalorian, right? Like, what do you guys think? Like, where this is bleeding up with Mando? Like, where are we gonna end up with Mando at this point? Because I have a feeling like, sure, we might get Bo-Katan back as Mandalore, but like I saw Echo Base's video earlier. Thank you, Nick, for it. Discussing Katie Sackhoff talking a little bit about that. Oh no, she doesn't want to be Mando. She's over it, but I don't know. I just have a feeling that is kind of like bleeding into it. I think she's gonna end up being Mandalore. What do you guys think?
So as far as where we're gonna be at the end of this season, I'm guessing we're gonna know about Thrawn and what's going on with him. Moff Gideon. I'm sure Ahsoka's going to show back up. And which will tie in because we'll get Skeleton Crew later on this year, and then of course after that we'll get the Ahsoka show. So there'll definitely be the tie-ins there. But I think ultimately they are gonna all the Mandalorians are gonna reunite under one banner and rebuild Mandalore. That's going to be
I agree.
Pretty much by the end of the season, that's where we're going to be at. They're going to be reunited. Right. They're going to rebuild Mandalore, and we're going to know about Thrawn's intentions, or at least that he's back leading into the Ahsoka show, and then of course old Greg and the pirates going into Skeleton Crew. So,
right.
Hold on, Matt. Hold on, real quick. 2 seconds.
Yes, sir.
Just want to say this. So when people pop in, I like this. We'll ask a question. We want you to pose a question. Pick someone to answer the question. So when you do the pop in, we'll ask you a question. You pick a question. Pick the person on the panel that you want to answer the question. That way we can kind of move things through a little quickly, because all three of us on the panel want to be like, hey, let me get my opinion on this. I'm going to tell you something. But real quick, you got to bring your wife in here. She's got to say hi to everybody.
Can I not answer? I have
no, you can't. No.
Dear, you have to say hi to the chat. Say hi to the chat.
Hello.
Hi. I'm still going to answer, even though he doesn't want me to.
All right. Get this out, and then Hawk, we got to boot you because we got a couple other people in line.
Sounds good. Thank you very much, guys. Have a good rest of the night. Thanks again.
Good talking to you.
Stay for 2 seconds. Stay for 2 seconds.
Let me answer. Can I answer?
Oh, sorry. Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. And so my answer is, why do we care? Right. What have they done to set up the fact that we care about the story? Everything is all copacetic, right? We've had the Clone Wars, we've had Rebels, we've had a lot of Mandalorian story. And so is the reason why we're having the story now just because Filoni has a hard-on for Mandalorians, and because Jon Favreau was the original Vizsla's voice actor? I mean, I'm like, why do we care? And if we do care, why are they not knocking it out of the park? Because for me, they're not knocking it out of the park.
All right, thank you, Rissman.
You're welcome.
I love you. All right, Hawk, thank you so much for popping in. It's good to see you. I've seen the chat for so long. It's nice to finally see your face.
I know, right? Thanks again, guys.
All right, buddy. Have a good night.
Good to see
you. You too, guys.
Take care.
All right, next up, we got the man himself, my lawyer. Be careful what he says here. The super drunk.
No.
Caleb, what's going on, brother?
Please keep your language clean. No,
you're what the hell are you talking about? All right, you drunk piece of shit. Ask us a question.
Well, that's the thing. You said on the last one, do I want to be asked a question? I want to be asked a question.
We do both. So I'm going to ask you a question. What do you think about please be short-winded. What do you think about Mandalorian episode 3?
Terrible.
That was too short-winded. Buff it up a little bit.
Just boot him out. Just boot him.
Okay.
No.
What was it? 45 minutes. Could have repeating everything everyone else has said. Could have been 25 minutes. It felt like they threw way too much stuff in there. If I hear Pershing go one more time, I'm going to throw something through a window.
Okay. You don't like the earlobe rubbing? Not a fan of the earlobe?
That, and then the fake ass slurping with because you could tell he was
what are you talking about?
Okay. The second time he's putting the fake popsicle to his mouth. You hear him go.
Okay. I got you. All right.
And it's too much. It's too much.
All right. Now you got a chance to direct a question to anybody on the panel. What do you want to ask? And who?
Let's go with Rissman.
Oh no.
How do you think we're introduced to, if we are, how do you think we're introduced to Thrawn in this season?
There will be no. I will.
You think zero introduction?
I will tell you there is a 0.01% chance that Thrawn will appear in this season, but there will be something that happens that lets us know what Thrawn thinks about Gideon in this season.
I like that. That's good.
Can't tell you any more about it.
Kind of seems like
tell
cop
you
out.
definitively that that's true.
Kind of seems like cop out.
All right. My good friend,
right.
the King's Advisors, we will see you in the Discord later for a little bit of voice chat action. I'm going to be hanging out in the Discord later after the stream, by the way, if anybody wants to come in. Caleb, I'll see you there, brother.
Yep. Peace.
Drink some water.
I've tried.
I want to say that if we get Thrawn, I wouldn't be surprised if it's going to be like the first introduction of Thanos, where we just see him from behind and just maybe see his
Nick,
face.
we're not getting Thrawn in the flesh in this season. 100%.
I'm saying if he was,
I hear you.
I think that would be all that we would get.
Had to break that up real quick. Okay. Next rapid fire pop in. We've got John the Cocota.
Oh,
what's up,
John
buddy?
C. Great to see you, brother.
You said it right, man. Doing good. Can you hear me
Please don't
okay?
tell me you brought your whiteboard.
we
no
can hear you good.
whiteboard. No white. Oh my God, the whiteboard.
Oh, he brought the
Here we
whiteboard.
go.
All right.
Here we
All right,
go.
let's
Oh my God.
pose the question. What did you think of Mandalorian season 3? Episode 3.
5.5.
Okay, I feel like that's fair.
Yeah,
I feel like that's very fair.
So on the whiteboard is why I gave it such a low rating, because I
Okay.
think it had a lot to do with the editing choices. Basically, what they did was, in terms of editing,
Put the
instead of
whiteboard
doing-
below your mouth so we can hear you.
So instead of doing, well, let's see if we could do this right here.
Perfect.
So basically what they should have done was if you broke up the segments, you had really distinct Persian segments to edit with. You had the pre-raid and then you had the post-raid. So what they should have done is intro with Mando and Bo, then cut to Pershing doing his introduction, his TED talk, the setup of the people in the courtyard. Then what you do is you bring the episode up to the battle with the TIE fighter battle. Then you go back to Pershing because that's your center point of the episode. And you bring the height into that. Then you bring us with the intrigue and the mystery. So then you go back to Pershing, and that's the post-raid, okay? And then what you do then is you have your Mando landing on the planet, interacting with the armor, and then what you do is you finish with Pershing getting the mind flayer, and then Lieutenant Biscuit's eating the biscuit, because that's your hard stop right there. But that's the way the thing should have played out. Instead, what they did was they did Mando, everything Pershing, which was way too slow and boring for the pace, and then they finished with Mando.
But John, honest question for you: Do you believe that it's true that the original plan was this whole episode was just supposed to be Pershing, and what you're talking about on the editing was really from the
them adding it in from other episodes just to not have it be so boring?
I think that whoever is pacing this season is just way off. The editing of all these episodes just seems really bad.
What you just presented looks gorgeous to me. I mean, that looks perfect. Yeah, because then in the middle of the episode, you got this big hype, and then everything kind of, I think you nailed it perfectly.
It's so chopped up. It's
even,
I'm a layman. It's choppy. But I think what they were so gun shy because of Book of Boba Fett. They're like, well, we can't have a non-Mando episode in Mando 3, so we're gonna do this nonsense. And I'm like,
It wouldn't have seemed as bad. I
But
don't
to
think
John's
it,
point,
yeah.
incorporating the Mandalorian into the middle portions of the episode, or at
Yeah.
least the early late portions of the episode, would have completely made it make sense.
It needed
Yeah.
to be in the middle.
Yeah, you have two peaks. You have the big high in the start and the big high at the end, and then you just have this giant.
It's like a half pipe.
hammock. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's not the way to edit a show. They
Agreed.
should have taken the space battle, and they should have taken all that excitement, and they should have had that right in the middle as the climax. And then you could have had the whole train mystery intrigue thing as kind of like coming off that climax. It's still kind of exciting, but then you break it up with them landing on the planet, meeting Visla, meeting the armor.
Tickets, please.
Yeah.
Tickets, please. I was like, what are you
But like the first and second episode should have been combined as well. Like that's the whole thing. You had this 30 minute. You should have they could have been combined into one episode. Now you have this long 1 hour episode. Then you have this short 30-minute episode.
Here, John's point is valid. Here's the problem. They did a premiere of the first 2 episodes together. Right?
Yeah.
They understood this, and then I firmly believe they cropped that second episode for that weird nonsense. And they're like, well, we're gonna lose people if it's just a Pershing, New Republic sucks, blah blah. Let's not do that. Let's fix all this up. And on the next episode is only gonna be 30 minutes. So I'm like, what? I am.
All right,
so-
John, it's your shot now. You've got a chance to ask anybody on the panel one question. Who do you want to pick, and what's the question?
So I'll go with X-Wing. The other option that they could have done, do you think that this would have worked? You take all those Pershing episodes. There's basically like 3 solid Pershing segments.
Right.
What if they had put those in the first and second episode and just breadcrumb that story along as if it was like a Game of Thrones style. So we would have had a little bit of a scene with Pershing, his TED talk. It's like, oh yeah, okay, I remember him. And then second episode we get him again, and then suddenly third episode we get the Mind Flayer thing. Do you think that would have?
Absolutely. This is a much better way to structure the season. Again, this kind of goes back to like what I was talking about with the Empire Strikes Back thing, where you have the story split off and you go this place and you learn a little bit, and then you come back and you go to this place and you learn a little bit. And that was something that I love so much about Star Wars, is that you could kind of segment these stories, go and learn something. And it was like watching different episodes back to back to back to back. And I think that makes a lot more sense for me, especially introducing Pershing early, which kind of brings us back to remember Moff Gideon and all the shit that just happened in the season 2 ender. Let's go back and look at that. And so I think
I just have to break in.
Rissman's gonna go ahead and finish this one for me.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but they gave us more of a recap about Pershing and Katie O'Brien's character than they did about fucking Grogu coming back and the Luke thing or whatever. It's seriously, if you look back at the way they recapped it before this last episode, there was minutes of here's Pershing, here's Katie O'Brien as the comms officer. Here's what
Lieutenant
we're setting
Biscuits.
up. And
Lieutenant Biscuits. Thank you, John. See, John knows what's going on.
And they gave us more deference to that than they ever said anything about Grogu training with Luke. I'm like, really?
Yeah, because a normie, we have to extract ourselves from fandom and be a normie. And you're 100% right. A normie is going to be sitting there saying, "What the heck just happened with Mando and all this stuff going on?" Oh yeah, there's way more information about Pershing and Lieutenant Biscuits. Guys, we're judging a production company in complete disarray. And I guarantee you, after everything we have seen over the last 3 years, Favreau said, we've got a plan. You know how many times this guy probably has had to change this plan? You know, when
Yeah,
you're
well, that's partly due to oversight as well. Oversight
No,
and
no. You know why? You know why he's changing the plan? It's on a whiteboard. Every night the cleaning crew comes in there.
all right, okay, all right. John, thank you so much for popping on. We appreciate you being here as always. You provide some of the best insight. I love the way that you break it down and make it make sense. I love it. So we'll see you again on the next one.
Wait, X-Wing, before he goes, John, Picard season 3, Mando season 3, which one's killing it?
Oh, you mean Picard season episode 4? Oh,
Just
my God.
generally speaking.
Yeah. No, yeah, that was just
Say yes and move on. This is not a Star Trek channel.
It's good.
It was so good, Rissman, that last night I went back to go watch Q Who from Star Trek just to see the first like Q Borg. I was like, oh my God, this is just like when I was a kid. And Sunday night.
God, I love Star Wars. All right, thank you, John. I really appreciate it.
John.
Appreciate you. We got to move on to the next guys. We've been taking these way too long. Rissman just cannot stop talking. I don't know what else to say. All right, moving on. We got the next guy popping in. Our good friend Matt Taween.
All right, Matt Taween, good to see you.
You didn't send the link to Ghost Rider, did you?
Oh yeah.
Oh fuck.
Oh yeah, 100%.
All right, what's 100%. Up, Matt Taween?
Hey, first of all, I got a question. Who's the guy there in the top right? Do we need to do a welfare check on Darth Sempus? I mean, this is the alter ego of Darth Sempus we're hearing tonight.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, isn't it?
My alter ego. I don't understand that.
Yeah, I mean, not that it's a bad thing. Everything I've been listening to, I pretty much agree with. What they should have done, and John was right as far as editing. What this episode is the reason why I stopped watching The Walking Dead. It was basically like a soap opera. The first 10 minutes or 15 minutes gets you hooked with action, and then there's a lot of boring drama. Well, I say boring. I probably missed the point of Walking Dead anyways, but there's like the middle part of the show is just, a lot of character building and slow paced drama. Then the very end is a cliffhanger, 10 minutes. And then that's it. They keep you dragging along just as long enough to keep you hooked.
Yeah.
And if they had mixed it up, that's exactly how the original Star Wars were. Yeah, you see, you've got like an A plot and a B plot, and we go over here, and then we'll do a pretty cool wipe, and now we're following the next character.
They told us how to do this in middle school. There was this, and then it went up, and then it went down, and then there was a yeet on the end to bring you back in.
Yeah, yeah. Now, with Andor, it's a totally different animal. There was, that was the intent of that show, but Mando's a totally different animal. I appreciate getting to see how they took the Imperials and how they tried to integrate them.
No, Matt, no, don't ruin it again.
All right, keep going.
All right, so we've gotten the breakdown on Mandalorian episode 3, which I think you're dead on, absolutely dead on.
No,
now you got a chance. You can ask anybody on the panel a question. So who'd you like to pick, and what's your question?
No, I still have one question. I'm interrupting. All
right, fine. We'll bring it back in for a little bit.
Matt Taween, you're talking about soap operas and other things. Did you watch The Last of Us?
Yes.
And how did you find the way they did that series?
A couple episodes I didn't care for, but again, I would rather stick to the main plot and not spin off on a couple episodes building characters that were NPDs basically in the game. So I don't know. I liked how it ended. It stayed true to the game in many ways for a lot of shot for shot and conversations they had, but there was still a couple filler episodes really.
Okay. No, fair enough. Yeah. I just wanted to hear your opinion on that. All right. So ask the question. I know.
I guess my question is, how far are we going to go down the road of the cloning plot? I'll ask X-Wing this question. What do you think about?
He's not here. Ask
okay.
Here.
I'll ask you and Nick then both. Either one of you take it. How far down the road are we going to get with this cloning plot this year?
And so the cloning plot for me is, where do we think we're going, and do we think Snoke is already here? Because if you think about some things we've already know, Snoke should already be cloned at this point. So is the point of this trying to get us to Palpatine, or what else is going on? And by the way, why did Pershing not spill the beans? Right, he had every opportunity to spill the beans. I'm not talking about it in the opera house. He was like, oh, someone was looking for things going so bad, blah blah. But I'm talking about at the point that he got captured and before he got mind flayed. Why did he not just call it all out? There's so many weird things here.
Yeah, I think he was just really naive. He may have had honest intentions, but was being exploited. I don't know.
But if he didn't know, then why did she wipe him? There's
that's not clear yet.
There's so many weird things here about the whole cloning.
He's either a loose end or they're brainwashing him for something else.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, all right, guys. I'm gonna hop off. Thanks, guys.
Matween. Yeah, we
All right,
appreciate you
Matween.
popping in. We got to keep it moving. More people
Later.
popping in.
No,
And then
Ghost
save
Rider.
stuff.
Ghost Rider cannot pop in.
Oh,
Anyone
Ghost
else?
Rider's coming in. But first, before we do that, we are going to get the lovely Mary Lanning. What's going on?
Hey, Mary.
What's up, Mary?
Hey, well, the Mandalorian, that episode, I was like getting confused, but the Opera House, that kind of brings me back to Revenge of the Sith whole lot because I was like going like this, and I was like eating popcorn during that episode, and I was like looking at the Opera House, and I said, that does take me back to Revenge of the Sith era, and it's like it did feel weird.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'd love to see it. It was really nice because they gave us the audio cues from Revenge of the Sith too. I mean, it was awesome to see, but this is the problem, and this is how they get us, Mary. They pick that one part of your brain where you're like, oh my God, Opera House, and it's the same clapping, and your brain immediately goes back to the Revenge of the Sith, and you think you're in a good spot.
They weren't watching an opera.
They weren't watching an opera.
God, what?
I know they weren't watching an opera. I was like, when Dr. Pershing came on, I was like, oh no, why do I have to put up with this character again? I put up with him in season 1, season 2, thinking, here I go again, watching him again in season 3. When I saw the lieutenant turn down the dial all the way down, I was like, his brain's gone fried.
I thought about the Princess Bride.
Yeah, that's what
it reminded me of. Yeah. So, okay, you've got a chance now to ask anybody on the panel a question. What's your question? Who do you want it to go to?
I think I better give this question to Nick about. You were right about the Bad Batch all along. I don't care for that annoying character. I don't care for her.
Omega.
Yeah,
Omega.
I don't really care for her. She's
Fuck
annoying.
Omega.
She's annoying to me now.
Give us your real thoughts here, Nick.
I will say, and I've said this before. Last week's episode, not this last one with freaking Bad Batch in Paradise, but the episode 12, I thought was one of the best animated Star Wars episodes of any Star Wars animation I've ever watched. That, and I can say that for that episode, on its own. I still care nothing about the show, but just that episode by itself was gold in my mind.
And Nick, I'm with you. And the last 3 episodes are going to go down in history of being probably up there for me in Rebels, the best story we've heard.
I also like the Mandalorian episode 3. I'm giving it like a 3 out of 5, and because Dr. Pershing, he was okay, but I don't get the girl. I think what's her real name again? Because I remember
Elia Kane is her name in the series.
It's ma'am.
Yeah, I'm hoping Gideon does come back. I'm hoping he does escape from that prison, whatever prison he's in. I'm thinking, Gideon, come on, Gideon, anytime.
Yeah.
Come back.
All right, so what would you like to see from the next episode? And then we're gonna move on to the next guy who's just gonna make Rissman just so happy.
I would like in the next episode, I would like to see less dark, more light. In the next episode, I want to see more light.
Okay. So tonally, you would like it to be a lighter episode as opposed to a like darker, like episode 2 where it was in the caves and.
Yep.
Okay.
Dark
So-
just throws my eyes a little bit.
So Mary, I have a question for you. Have you enjoyed this season of Mandalorian as much as the last season?
I enjoyed this season. You know, Grogu is back with Din Djarin, like Ahsoka said, in the one episode that I just saw with Book of Boba Fett, to share a strong bond. And I believe she's right. He's back with Din Djarin. I think he's going to stay with him.
Yep. Makes
Yeah,
sense.
at this point.
Awesome.
All right. Thank you so
Doesn't
much,
make
Mary,
sense.
for popping on. I
Doesn't
appreciate
make-
you.
But it is.
Yep.
it
Oh,
is what it is.
tell Coach I said hi, will you?
Yeah, see you tomorrow.
Yeah.
See you tomorrow night, by the way. See you.
See you there.
Okay, see you.
Or tonight.
Dude, my chat is getting like race bound.
Dude,
Are
you've had
you
70
watching this?
folks. You've had 70 folks in the chat all night long.
Yeah.
Yeah, we hit 80 at one point. We hit 80 at
Wow.
one spot. I was
Wow.
real proud of that.
Then I
And we're
probably said
streaming
something-
right along, dude. I mean,
Probably
we
said-
hit 4K.
I said something and they left, so I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, it's all your fault. Yeah, we hit
Usually
4K.
is. Usually is.
Just cruise right past it. Now we're at like 4.3. We're well on our way to the 5K mark, which I'm very excited about. And then, man, it's going to be 7,500 is my other benchmark, and then obviously 10,000 is going to be the big
Nice.
one. So,
Nice.
thank you everybody who's new here, by the way, for being a part of this community. I really appreciate it. It's
What's
time to
up,
bring
Tim?
in the
Fuck
next
Shazam. Tim Soft, what's up?
person.
Please no. Oh, my
What's up,
God.
Ghost Rider? How
There
you
we
doing, brother?
go.
Oh, fucking God. No, can we go on to the next one, please?
Greetings, mortals.
What's up, Ghost Rider?
What's up, buddy?
How's it going, y'all? How's it
Keep
going?
it,
Good,
keep
good.
it, keep it quick.
I'm chilling. I'm having.
You
I'm
know,
having a great
man.
night.
I don't know why you're so mean to me, man. I think you're just mad because I outbid you on the Tron, the Tron getting Tron his thing that he needs to stream, dude. I
That's
think
what it was. I did. I got a DM. I was like, dude, I can't let Rissman give more money than me. And then I saw a $200 donation from Ghost Rider. I'm like, oh yeah, you got it.
X-Wing, don't get distracted. Ghost Rider, ask a question to some person and get the fuck out.
Oh, now he wants to follow
One
the
question
formula.
and get the fuck
Now
out of
he
here.
wants to.
You know,
Okay.
We've actually been agreeing tonight, Matt. I don't know why you're so hostile.
Oh my god, the world is
What's
gonna
with all the
explode.
hostility?
Dude.
We gotta spice up the stream.
I guess, yeah.
It's all for effect. It's all for effect.
I'm
Must
just
be, must
busting
be.
your ball. I'm just busting your balls again, brother. Tell
Yeah,
us. Tell us.
I know.
Tell us.
Okay, so I have to agree with Rissman. We are not getting Thrawn in Mando. All right, Thrawn they're going to save for Ahsoka. It is not going to be our beloved EU Thrawn. It is going to be Rebels Thrawn.
Yeah.
If it's just I'm so conflicted with this with Mando, man. Like, why? As I love Star Wars more than I like Star Trek, why is Picard season 3 running circles around Star Wars?
What did I tell
right
you
now?
about talking about this?
Yeah.
What did I tell you?
No, but
Not wrong,
X-Wing,
Ghost Rider, not
X-Wing,
wrong.
I know you don't want to hear it, but
It's not that I don't want to hear it. I run a Star Wars channel. People don't come here to talk about Star Trek.
We're just
but
using
this
it for as an
point-
example for comparison.
Yeah.
purpose.
Look,
This
and as far as
is
Picard has been
valid.
terrible. The first 2 seasons of Picard were horrible, and then the third one comes out and it's such a banger. And Mando, which has been slamming everything, boom.
Let's get
Third
the
season- third
RK
season.
outpost pop in.
Third
What's
season,
What's up,
Mando
bro?
pops out, and Picard is the better show. What the hell?
All right.
It's-
So you've
it's
got a
the
chance.
better-
No,
it's the
Rissman. No.
better show
No.
I admit.
All right.
All right.
Ghost Rider, you've got the ability here to ask anybody on the panel one question. What's your question, and who do you want to put it to?
My question is, What is the airspeed velocity of an unladen swallow?
No, ask a real question. Or get the fuck out. Ask a real question or get the fuck out.
You know, I love you too, Rissman.
Fucking nerd.
What do you
All right. My question is, if there was one thing that you could bring in from the let's say the EU to make this better, and I'll just post this to any one of you. I don't care who answers.
No, you got to pick one.
I got to pick one?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. I'll pick the saltiest one. Nick.
All right, yeah.
What would you bring in?
I would bring Luke and Mara Jade in. I would bring some EU love back to the fans. Is what I would do. Now it's Disney, and I'm sure they'd completely fuck it up. But you know, I would like to see them at least try to.
Well, Nick, you know it would be Mara Jim these days, right?
Oh yeah,
sure, absolutely.
It's Ma'am.
It would be the trans Mara.
It's Mara, Ma'am.
She would be
Marin.
She would be
I go by they them.
She would be swapped for an African American man.
Yeah,
because she's a redhead.
Well, you got the answer you want, Ghost Rider.
Yeah.
Get
them
I mean, I guess.
Let's bring in the next person.
I appreciate you too, Rissman.
We love you, buddy. We love you as always. Good to see you, buddy.
Thank you.
All right. Holy shit, that was funny. All right, I'm gonna drop that link in one more time. I'm still gonna try to get Ryan on here. We're gonna try. We know it's not gonna happen. We're gonna try. Meanwhile,
we've had good. I got for everyone that's in the chats. Like, oh, you fucking. I love Ghost Rider, and that was a good pop in. I'm sorry for being an asshole.
No, it's hilarious.
Yeah.
It's always hilarious because
I know it's good content, but I want to make sure folks know. He's a douche. He's a douchebag, but he's our douche.
You break my heart. You break my heart.
Ryan's not going to come in.
All right, so let's
let Nikki pop in.
Yeah, where the fuck is Nikki anyway? She said she doesn't want to associate with us anymore. So.
She's in the chat.
She doesn't want to be around. All right, let's bring in our next rapid fire pop in.
Who is it?
Nova Vaughn.
Oh no.
What's going on?
All right, so first question that comes in. What did you think about Mandalorian episode 3?
Well, as I said on my channel, it was the worst episode of The Mandalorian. Definitely.
Explain
yourself. I mean, it was as bad as Book of Boba Fett.
Wait, I've been Ghost Rider called me a douchebag in the chat.
Well, you are a douchebag.
Oh, okay, it's true. All right, keep going, Nolan. That's true.
But yeah, definitely, it's like, I know I heard your guys' ratings. I went a little bit lower. I went 3.5 out of 10.
Out of 10. Okay, yeah, that's low for sure.
I gave it a 3 out of 10.
Okay.
And the only thing that got points was basically the battle at the beginning and then the stuff at the end.
Nova, you got to tell us why.
Just that whole story with Dr. Pershing. It took too long. It was irrelevant. I just did not think they drug it out too long.
Okay. So what about the bookends, the beginning and the end?
The end wasn't too bad. I mean, I could see, when they brought the proof for that they brought the living waters to get redeemed. That was good. You could see Bo-Katan's look, she's got an ulterior motive. She's got a plan.
It actually leaked that she doesn't. That article that interview just dropped.
I don't know about that.
That's what she said. That was out of Katie Sackhoff's own mouth.
That's an actor thing.
Okay, all right.
I love that first part.
To anybody on the panel now, who do you want to direct it to? And what is your question?
Okay, let's go to X-Wing here.
Uh-oh.
So, without saying the concept that there's no such thing as people dying in Star Wars, how could Lady Biscuits escape that ambush that in Chapter 16 by Bo-Katan, Cara Dune, Fang Shan, when they took the bridge out completely, she should have been destroyed.
I would say plot convenience, or the second that a giant Lambda class shuttle slammed into the hangar bay, she probably hit an escape pod or something. I don't know, but I doubt very highly she was hiding underneath a fucking panel. And when they sent the scanner crews in, she hit one of the New Republic officers and put on their outfit. So if I had to guess, I'm going to say plot convenience. A lot of me hopes that they don't elaborate on that shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the comms officer that didn't have a name until right now, and all of a sudden now it's the most important person in Moff Gideon's arsenal when it comes to being an assassin. The fucking comms officer is now a covert assassin.
Super spy.
Super spy. Yeah, so don't really know, and to be honest with you, don't really care. I'm sure that this character is now going to be extremely prevalent, which isn't a happy place for me. It's not that I don't like her. I think she's a great actress, to be honest with you. She does a fine job.
She did a great job.
Yeah, I just don't like the character.
Exactly. Same here.
So that's where I'm at.
Well,
All right.
Stop.
All right. Yeah. Oh, quick answer to you, Nikki. If you look at my avatar, I'm in the Millennium Falcon. That's why I'm calling from space.
Oh, don't pay any attention to Nikki.
Yeah. Don't listen to Nikki. She's a fucking trash human being. I love her, but
is Nikki joining? No, she's not joining. No.
I don't think she was on the bridge. Yeah, I didn't see her on the bridge.
Yeah, she was on the bridge.
She was on the bridge?
No,
during that episode?
100%. Yeah.
During that episode?
It looked like she got killed. I mean,
we miss you on late night, by the way, Nikki. It's time for you to come home.
There is a bit of Fab.
No fucking way. I just saw somebody else pop into the back. There
is a bit of Fab plot convenience, but yeah, she was on.
Yeah, little bit of convenience. All right, so we got the Orlando Dragon, and then I've got somebody I haven't seen in a very long time. I'm excited to talk to.
What's up, brother?
All right, Orlando Dragon, how are you doing tonight?
Doing good. How about you guys?
We are chilling. What do you think of episode 3?
Okay, well, I've actually really haven't watched it yet. Matter of fact, I'll admit something.
What the fuck are you doing on here?
Next.
I'll be right back. I gotta go for a drink. You're asking me a question, or I gotta go for a drink? You asking me a question? No.
Go get your drink. Make your pee-pee.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'll just say this, like, based on what I was hearing, I mean, from you guys, I mean, you know, it's clear, like it's just, you know, just confusing story time, just from based on what I was hearing. It's almost like they're making Picard based on what I'm hearing.
Watch where you're going with this. You're treading dangerously close to that Star Trek line.
I know, but no, it just seems like they're making it look good, even though the first 2 seasons, from what I heard, was bad. But
all right, so barring Mandalorian season 3, you can ask a question for anybody on the panel. What's your question?
Okay, well, I'll ask 2 quick questions real quick. But okay, so based on what we're seeing from Pedro Pascal right now, I mean, do you think he did better in The Last of Us 10 times more than what we're seeing out of him on season 3 of Mandalorian?
Who's your question directed to?
I'll go with I think I'll go with you, actually. I don't know if you've seen The Last of Us.
I have, yeah. I've been watching it for sure. I think it's kind of apples and oranges. It's a little tough because most of the time Mando's not in the suit. So to say if he's, you know, acting better in one than the other, it's a little tough, because I think the last time that we saw Mando with his helmet off was
it's the end of season 2.
the end of season 2. So I mean, and then before that, it was back in the bar when they were shooting up the bar. So really
before
tough to
that
say.
Was IG-11.
Yeah, really tough to say whether or not he's doing better. I think he's doing a fine job in
voice acting.
Yeah, he's doing a fine job voice acting. He's doing a good job in The Last of Us. Is it who I would have cast as Joel? Probably not, but I mean, pretty, you know, he's doing a good job. That's basically where I'm at. So I don't really have any high praises to sing or anything to like take him down. I like Pedro Pascal. There are some things that I would say from a social construct standpoint, I wish that he would have done, but I always try to remove the actor from the art. So yeah, when it comes to everything that he's done at this point, I think he's a pretty funny dude. He clearly enjoys the role that he's doing. So let him keep cooking.
Yeah, I mean, I only watched one episode, and that was only for the outbreak scene. I mean, comparing it to the game itself, because I only seen it on YouTube, basically. But yeah, I think he did he fit the role. But I mean, like you said, I wouldn't say if he would be the one that played Joel or something like that. But yeah, I think that's basically.
So I came back right at the right time, because here's my question I want to ask: production value so far. Mandalorian season 3, The Last of Us, even after the 3rd episode. So let's just do 1 for 1.
He's not watching Mando.
Who's winning?
He's not watching Mando.
Well,
okay. Well, then I can't.
All right, Orlando. I appreciate you coming on, brother. It's good to see you again. Thank you for being here.
Actually, hold on. I just want to ask one more quick question, if you don't mind. All right. So this is to Rissman.
It's not going to be.
I'm ready.
It's going to be the next hour. We're going to be on for 3.5. But go ahead.
No, this will be really quick.
Ready.
Okay, so I think we need to have a conversation with Coach about having an intervention with Nick in regards to a certain character, given that they did a certain poll. Yeah, you know who I'm talking about. And
Omega.
Yeah, because of that.
Nick is here. You don't have to tell me. Nick is right here.
Fuck Omega.
Hey, that's all we needed to see. Thank you, Orlando, for being on. I appreciate you. Thank you for being here. I really do. I appreciate you for being on. All right, we've got kind of a special guest, kind of a special pop-in. So this is somebody from days long ago when the sun ran long across the prairie. This is my my little brother. He's not officially my little brother, but by the laws of man, this is my little brother.
Who is that?
I'm Matt.
Oh God, your mic is just fucking so
Primo.
bad. It's so bad. Oh God.
Who is it?
Are you on like a Nokia 2500? What do you?
I'm in the car.
That doesn't matter.
I have no idea. I have no idea who it is.
It's like as soon as you get in a car, all of a sudden cell phones don't work. Okay, all right.
Oh,
what's up, buddy? Have you been watching Mando?
Absolutely.
Who is it? Who are you?
This is Matthew Childs.
It's a long story.
This is a young man.
Matthew Childs.
I was raised by X-Wing, pretty much.
Oh well, then you're.
Oh
fucked.
God, well you are fucked.
In the beginning.
I'm a star.
100% fucked.
No, I taught this. I taught this little fucker how to fish. I taught him how to do. Yeah, he needed some. He needed some man influence in his young formative years. So yeah.
Who is he and why is he here?
Doesn't matter. All right, Maddie, my brother, talk to me.
Ask your question.
All right, so first of all, I want to just go on a tirade about the 3rd episode. It was a filler episode, which every show has to have filler episodes, but like most of the time they have like consistency or like content, and I feel like as a filler episode, it just didn't add anything to the show. Like the first season, we had the Mud Rhino, which that wasn't really much, but it still added something to like the character arc of the Mando and like
right because now he's got he's got his signet.
Yeah, I just feel like the 3rd episode didn't add anything to any like really reasonable to the character arc or the like show in general per se.
Okay.
Great choice by Disney, by the way, to put filler episodes in a 8-episode season. Good
That's another thing. Fucking shows are just getting so short at this point that you have to make episodes count. You can't just be throwing trash in useless episodes.
Yeah, no, it's a fair point.
I just have to say the worst part of this is it wasn't filler. It wasn't a filler episode. It was
then why did it feel like a filler episode?
It was the story they intended to tell in this series. And on Nick's point, it's like, well, they only have 8 to go. They're like,
hey, Maddie,
no, man.
Maddie, you've just had a very large YouTuber tell you next time you pop on, don't bring your nice mic.
All right.
Do I need to fucking Amazon Prime you some Apple iPhone headphones or something, dude? Like, what is going on?
You know my view on Apple. Pops worked at Microsoft for 25 years. I'm not a fan of Apple.
Right. That's right. You're on Android. That's why you sound like you're talking through a pile of shit.
Can I finish my rant, or are we
I
going to
agree,
talk
Apple
about
sucks.
his lack of audio content? He's in a fucking car.
I'm just enjoying this. All right, Maddie, you got the chance now to ask somebody on the panel a single question. What's your question, and who are you giving it to?
Well, I'm going to talk to Rissman, because if I wanted to talk to you, I'd just text you.
Yeah, that's true.
So, if you were to fix the show, how'd you fix it? How would you bring Thrawn in? Because Thrawn's a big character. So if you say he's going to come in, how would you bring him in?
I taught this little motherfucker right.
There's no reason why this question reinforces why they are failing. They are failing on this series. It was like, what? How would you bring Thrawn in? What's Thrawn? Thrawn shouldn't even be a consideration in this fucking series. They should be doing other things. So to answer your question is, I don't want Thrawn in this series. I want fucking Favno and other folks to fucking write. Oh my God. Why did they do this to us? Why did we have the first 2 seasons and now this one? And everyone's like,
are you smoking a vape, you little fucker?
How would you fix it? The question is, how would you fix it? It shouldn't need to be fixed. They had a great recipe. They should have just kept going. And the problem is nobody understands what the fucking story is they're telling now. So you know what? I can't fix this because they fucked all of us in this story. Can't fix it.
I kind of like little salty Rissman.
I'm just.
Oh, you're muted, Maddie. Hold on. Let me see if I pull you out and bring you back in. Can we hear you now? Nope. Can't even hear you. Your mic was so bad it broke during the stream.
Maybe he hit mute on his
maybe
end accidentally.
Did he mute himself?
How about
there
that?
he
Is that better?
Yeah. Holy shit, that's way better.
And look, Ryan said it in the chat. How do you fix the cameo show? More cameos. It's poorly fucking written. They're like I don't.
I love how this guy, he always tells me that I need to be more positive, and then he gets drunk and he's like, this is fucking trash.
Who are you talking about? I just can't.
All right, Maddie, you little fucker. When are you going to be around this neck of the woods again? Soon?
2 weeks.
2 weeks? All right, let's go catch some carp.
Yep.
Relive the old
with the new baby.
Oh my God! Put a condom on. I love you.
Fuck you.
Why Ghost Rider is? I'm gonna ban Ghost Rider. He's still trolling me in the chat.
Don't ban Ghost
But
Rider.
yeah, they started off with the whole IG-11 thing, and now that whole thing is meaningless. Like absolutely meaningless.
Well, let's
Nick,
take a minute.
Nick.
Let's take a minute. Hold on. Let's talk about Thrawn for a second here. Because this is as important to people who were big fans of the expanded universe as Anakin is to somebody who only watched the movies, right? Thrawn is the main fucking character, right?
Yeah.
So when you bring somebody like that in, if they're not handled with respect, we are looking at a Titanic level event for Lucasfilm with the fandom again.
X-Wing, but how do you?
They're basically bleeding fans at this point.
How do you define handled with respect? How what is your definition of that?
Treat the character with respect as he was written. So do me a favor, when I order a bruschetta, you know what a bruschetta is? You know, bruschetta? It's tomato, mozzarella, a little bit of basil up in there, you know, a little olive oil, a little bit of balsamic vinegar. There are chefs out there that will take a tomato, stick it in something and then boil it down and then take it around and then put it in some kind of fucking gel and then spurt it on a plate in some kind of lima bean looking fucking sort of red paste and be like, it's deconstructed. I don't want to see Thrawn fucking deconstructed. I don't need to see Thrawn as an evil man who redeems himself. Like, don't fuck with the character. The character is already done. The character is perfect. So don't fuck with Grandma's recipe. Grandma made it better than anybody. So don't fuck with Grandma's recipe. Just put it on a plate and people are going to go, holy shit, that tastes fucking amazing. And I want to come back to Grandma's kitchen every time she cooks, because when she cooks, it's like going to heaven.
Well, then I would recommend you don't watch Ahsoka. Because Grandma's not watching. I can guarantee you Grandma's not watching.
You know what Lucasfilm is saying? Grandma's not dead, but it's like Monty Python where they're like, bring out your dead. And she's like, I'm not dead yet. And they're just sticking her on the fucking trolley. Like, no, you're dead. Get the fuck out of here. We're done.
And Ahsoka is going to be 100% Dave Filoni.
Oh, yeah.
All Dave Filoni.
Filoni.
So I think he is going to get exposed to people that are still holding out hope for him.
Nah. I hear you, Nick, but I think the majority of the fandom is gonna love what he does for Ahsoka.
Maybe.
I do.
Maybe.
Because I don't think they care enough about the details as we do. Because we're in our bubble, right? We're in our talking bubble. But the majority of the folks are like,
it's fucking funny though. A lot of people say it's a bubble. The older I get and the more time I spend on YouTube, I start to realize just how large that bubble is. We like to think it's very, very small. But I'll be honest with you, I was talking to my boss. My boss, he's like a 53-year-old dude out in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I'm like, you ever been on YouTube? He's like, no, I don't mess with YouTube. And I'm like, what do you think about Star Wars? He could have been a guest on this fucking show.
Yep. I had the same conversation with people today.
Same shit, man. Same shit. And I fail to see how people continue to use that argument that it's a small bubble. It's like the 70 people who are watching you. Like, no, it's not. It's not. But it's not just people who comment on Twitter. It's not just people who watch YouTube. Like, just because somebody doesn't come out on the internet and bitch doesn't mean they don't feel the way that we do.
But they keep watching. That's the difference.
Yes, so do I.
So what does it matter?
Yeah, I guess you're right. Fuck it. If that is your view, then yes, Star Wars truly is dead. Fuck it. They're gonna watch it.
Doesn't mean it couldn't be better, but I'm just saying, I'm like, all right, we're all here together. It's like, this last episode was kind of shitty. But
I mean, most people I've talked to have been like, yeah, I enjoyed that. I don't get it. I don't get the hate.
But people they're still watching. We're all watching. So what has to happen for folks to be like, you know what? Fuck this shit. Not watching.
Kenobi.
What is it? What has to happen?
For me personally, once I start seeing sequel trilogy stuff on screen, I'm gonna be completely checked out.
But
get ready.
But Nick, you understand you're checking out now. I mean, everything they're doing is leading.
I understand it's leading, but like once I actually start seeing it on screen, like if I start seeing First Order stormtroopers, Snoke cloning, or Snoke being introduced before his face got all mangled up, or whatever.
Real quick though, on this comment, RK says they didn't let Timothy Zahn consult on the show. Didn't they let him consult on Rebels?
They did, and he was involved in Ahsoka marginally. But again,
what does that mean?
They talked to him, right? But
when we talked to Timothy Zahn last year, he said, as long as Filoni's writing it, it's going to be done right. And I'm like, wow, I can't believe he just said that.
100%.
But I disagree. But that's what Timothy Zahn said, or that's how he feels about it. As long as Filoni's writing Thrawn, he's happy with what Filoni is doing.
You know what's crazy though is like some of the interactions I've had on the internet recently, very recently, have been people saying like, I wouldn't really give a shit if George would be upset with where Star Wars is. And I lost my shit. I'm like, you fucking moron. Are you kidding me? You wouldn't care if George would be upset? And they're like, and you know, in classic Moff Rissman, it was like, fuck George Lucas. He sold it. And in my mind, I'm like, fuck you. Where does Star Wars
fuck
exist?
you.
It's only in George's mind. George Lucas is Star Wars. That's where it came from. So if you want to know what Star Was supposed to look, feel, smell, taste like, it's George Lucas's brain.
George's
That's where it came
mistake
from.
George's mistake was first of all, selling period to Disney. But if he was set on selling, he should have written some clauses in the contract saying, this is my story. This is the story I want to tell, and you have to write this story.
You know what, Nick? You don't get what you deserve. You get what you negotiate. Who says that? Who says that shit?
R&B says that.
Yeah.
But yeah, he didn't know what the fuck he was doing when he was selling the company. He trusted Iger and trusted that he was gonna do the right thing by him in the outlines of the stories he wanted to tell. And that's why he got so pissed when he found out that they were, basically trashed it.
Ooh, Rissman's gonna love this comment.
Don't trust anybody.
I've said this for a long time. I feel like Favreau is closer to George than Filoni, but that doesn't mean that he's close to George.
Yeah.
So a couple of things, right, Nick? So if you're like, well, I'm trying not to see. I'm trying not to see about getting close to the sequels, blah blah blah. Then I'm out. Then just check out now, because I can tell you things they're doing in the latter season is coming. Number one, and number two, the whole Favreau Filoni. They were both there. The interview earlier today. Favreau talking about him playing the original Vizsla in the Clone Wars and the Vibroblade. Okay, and then George is like, no, you can't do a Vibroblade. It's
got to do the Darksaber.
Not going to hold up on a lightsaber. You have to do a Darksaber, blah blah. So he had to, re-record all the voice lines.
And then we built the whole show over that. Yeah.
Yeah. And then he was like, and then it was so important, we built the whole show on it. So they tried to set themselves up as the culminators of
you doing all right, man?
Wars. But I'm like it's just not a good story here recently. It's too disconnected. It's not. They seem to have lost sight of their core fan base, and so I don't know what to do with that. I really don't.
Well, we're in a interesting position as Star Wars fans, for sure. When I tell you I get it from every fucking angle right now, not only from my close friends, but from my subscribers and people who don't even subscribe to my channel. They're like, we don't like you when you're positive. Fuck you when you're negative. But the bottom line is you just gotta, when it comes to especially being in the chat or hanging out with me, if you're on the panel, if you come in and do a pop-in, anything like that, be true to what you actually fucking feel about Star Wars right now. That's the bottom line. You just got to be honest. There's popular opinions and unpopular opinions, and you just got to be honest with yourself, man. And right now I'm not in a good spot. I haven't been in a good spot for a long time. I want to see Star Wars succeed. Fuck, I run a Star Wars YouTube channel. I'm surrounded by Star Wars every single day. Not just when I'm here on YouTube. This is the same place that I work in. There's a museum of fucking Star Wars around me. So I want to see this stuff succeed. just be honest. Hopefully this stuff gets better, but at this point, I'm not in a good place. I'm not in a
10
good
years
place.
from now, we'll be going, I hope it gets better.
Yeah.
It's right. They're gonna round in the corner now, guys.
It always comes to the next project, right?
So here's the question I have.
We're gluttons for punishment as Star Wars fans.
Here's the question I have is if the next whatever we got 4 more episodes, the next 4 episodes of Mando 3 totally slap, and they do great things. Is that enough? Are we
to make the show good, or to have Star Wars be back?
Star Wars be back?
No.
No way.
Because Picard season 3, you can take this one season and be like, this was a great season, but Star Trek is dead. It's been dead since 2009. It's like Bad Batch season 2. That one episode last week was fucking amazing from start to finish. I mean, it's like I said, best animated Star Wars episode I've ever watched. And but that doesn't make the show good or make Star Wars be back. You know, so we need some consistency.
So what's going on right now between Lucasfilm and the fans is essentially imagine like a mega toxic relationship, right? You were in love with this super hot girl. You guys were having amazing sex. It was the most amazing relationship you've ever had in your life, right? You separated for a long time, and then all of a sudden you get back together, and it was like, oh my God, you're like a millionaire now? Like, where'd you get all this money? Like, God, you're gorgeous. It's amazing. I missed you so much, right? She comes back into your life, but now she's kind of a shitty person, right? She's inconsistent. She looks good most of the time, but sometimes she just looks like an absolute crack horrible person. She cheats on you every once in a while, and you're like, I don't trust it. I used to love you so much. What's going on? And she's like, just stay with me. I promise. I am what you
I will
wanted.
be better.
I promise. And the bottom line is, like, no matter how far we get down this road, the bottom line is she cheated on me.
Yeah.
And my trust is like gone at this point. And so
it's a good analogy.
A good question how to ask yourself, like, how do you win the fan base back, is a really good question about, like, how does she win the trust of them and back? Bro, like, you might be able to do it a little bit, but for the most part, like, it's gone. You fucked your goodwill with the fans. You fucked it. And so when people are like, how do you get it back? I'm like, dude, I don't know if you can. And that's terrible, because that is a terminal diagnosis. That's a terminal diagnosis. That means it's over.
If Disney's in dire straits and has no choice but to start selling off properties, you know, when they sell Star Wars, if they ever get to that point, maybe then the next people who own it and run it would make some changes and turn things around, maybe. But, you know, that's a big what if.
Some really good blowjobs and sandwiches. That's how we're gonna fix it.
They're not gonna sell it, and I understand everything X-Wing just said, but I'm like, if what you're saying about it being successful going forward is all those, it's never going to be successful. Right? You're setting a bar that it just cannot reach. So we have to be more. To me, we have to be more realistic about how this franchise continues. Otherwise,
I don't want to lower my bar for them.
But your bar is stupid, right?
No, my bar is not stupid at all.
My bar is unattainable by Disney.
Nick's bar is unattainable, but the bar that I have set is only the bar that was set by George when the company was sold. That's it. That's not fucking unattainable. Apparently for them it is, because if you read at a fucking 4th grade level, then yeah, apparently it's going to be really hard to write at a high school level. So if that's unattainable, woe is me. I fucking apologize that they're not able to do that.
So I would challenge. They already satisfied that bar with the first season of Mandalorian. I don't know. I don't know.
So they've achieved it. So why are they not able to continue that?
That's a whole different story. You're like, oh well, I'm waiting for. That's not true. They
I don't sound like that.
You did sound like that. you're like, oh, they haven't done it yet. I was like, yeah, they have. Sure. They didn't satisfy his expectations necessarily with the sequels, but some of the other content.
So they have. So I'll call Mandalorian season 2 a really good start.
Sure.
Right? What did they do with that?
That's the whole thing we've been talking about.
They junked the whole fucking thing. They threw it out the window. They fired one of our favorite characters fucking brutally. And then they got to the next project they were on, and they fucking ruined the 2 seasons that came before it. So yeah, I guess they set a bar. They came really close with Mando season 1 and 2, and then they just let it go. They're like, fuck it.
Yeah. So it all goes back to George Lucas shouldn't have sold it.
Oh,
Fuck
God.
George Lucas. That's what it goes back to. We always go back to the same place, right? We're holding them accountable for something that we would expect the creator to have maintained, and he sold it.
Yeah.
So what do we?
I don't see a problem with that.
How can you not see a problem with it? It's
because if somebody has 250 head of cattle and he's used, all of his customers are used to buying that brand of beef, right? They're like, oh my God, I love this beef. The way he takes care of his cows, it's amazing. Look at all this amazing, like these people just flock to this rancher for this beef, right? And then a big beef company comes in and they buy those cattle. I love how successful you've been with those. Oh man, everybody's buying this beef. Let's buy it. They buy it. They treat it like shit. And all the customers are like, hey, I have just noticed since you've bought this cattle company, that beef that we fucking love is trash now. It's not good beef. It's fucking terrible beef. And you're on the side of the company that bought the beef company. And they're like, well, they fucking sold it. It's the customers just have to deal with it because they fucking, it's the person who sold the beef company's fault. Like, it's the fault of the person who buys it.
The issue with your analogy is the beef is good enough.
Oh, get the fuck out of here.
Not only is it good enough, but if it wasn't going to be good,
you sound like a goddamn government official right now. Well,
Dude.
Look, it's good enough. Are you gonna die?
People are still eating it.
Yeah, they're fucking eating it. What's your
He
problem,
should
Grifter?
never have
You fucking
sold-
piece of shit.
Dude.
Why do you want to make a problem?
He should have never sold the ranch in the first fucking place. The issue isn't the beef.
That's such
The
a shitty
issue
fucking
isn't
take.
The beef. The
That's
issue
such a bad
is
take.
the fact that he sold the ranch. So
No,
you can do
not.
your whole analogy. It's bullshit.
Look, the
never sold the
prevailing
ranch.
issue is that he sold it. Yes. Should he have? No. But could he continue on? No. And I'm not going to nail fucking George Lucas to a cross so that I get my Star Wars. He fucking sold it. There is a responsibility. The onus lies solely with Disney to continue to make the fucking shit that people want to see. Bottom line. That's it. Hard stop.
So
if you don't
they're-
want to do that, why the fuck did you buy it?
So they're doing it. The issue is they're not doing it in a way you prefer. And the only way you would prefer is if he never sold it. So all I'm saying is you can't have it both ways. You can't have him not selling it or selling it and then someone carrying it on the franchise in a way you
Imagine
prefer.
that. Imagine an artisan passing on his craft. Could you imagine that? I mean, you know what's fucking crazy? When you look at the Duomo in Florence, right? That took a very fucking long time to build. 6 generations to build that. Can you imagine if they had started and then it was like, oh, fuck, he died. I guess we'll move on to something else. And by the time they're done building that thing, it fucking collapses on itself because we don't want to maintain the same level. Your argument is flawed. You, sir, are not landed gentry.
It's not flawed. The difference is you just don't follow it anymore, right? The issue is we as fans of this franchise expect more and expect something from the continuing franchise that we're not getting. But to say that there was an expectation that as Lucas sold out and Disney continued it, that we would get something that we would believe was as good as if he kept going. That is a flawed perception.
That's flawed? Okay. All right. Let me ask you this then. If we continually got worse as we learned from the people that we learned from as humanity progressed, where would we be?
It's
so that's a fucking double standard, dude. If we never learned and improved, I'm the only thing I'm asking for is the same. If we never improved, you got to be. You want to talk about an argument that's flawed? That's flawed.
Your argument is flawed.
You're wrong, my good friend. No,
I'm not, because your argument was you can't abstract a non-corporate argument about the
I'm talking
evolution
about
of our species.
I'm talking
and
about
then say, well, after George Lucas sold it for money, we should expect. It's not the same thing at all.
100%. If anybody's worth their salt as a human being, then yes, it is.
You cannot analogize the evolution of a species to a corporate financial argument, which is what happened. George Lucas sold out for money. It's not the same thing. He wasn't disrespecting the evolution of our species. He said, you know what? Nah, fam, I'm out. Here's the money, $4 billion. Give it to me. I'm done.
Okay.
And we never heard from him again.
So real quick, I just want to add something in here. Are you excited about next week's episode of Picard, Matt?
100%.
Yeah, but next week's episode of Picard is going to be.
He couldn't help himself. I'm going to bring you back in, but that was a spank on the butt. Okay.
100%.
We were having fun. What the fuck?
We were having fun until you brought in a bullshit argument.
Oh no, I thought the argument was fun. I can argue with you. If it's a random person, I can't handle it. But
I'm in the camp George shouldn't have sold, for sure.
I don't think there's anybody in the camp that George shouldn't have.
It's not the issue that George shouldn't have sold. The issue is we then attached these whole kinds of other things that have happened since then as being no, blah blah blah. And I'm like, you can't do that. The barrier to entry was he sold it. And everything that happened since, it's like, well, okay, fuck you, fuck me, fuck everyone. I'm like, I don't get the rest of it. It doesn't make any sense to me. You're muted.
I guess from my standpoint, when I think about the development of storytelling, when you pass on stories from generation to generation, you make them better. You don't make them worse. So I guess my analogy was a little too broad scope, so I'll apologize for that. My analogy was more of humans telling stories. As you pass them on, they need to get better. They don't get worse. So if you have a Neanderthal writing on, cave paintings to Avengers fucking Endgame, there's a large gap there, right? Now that's over a number of many years, but it wasn't a regression, it was a progression. And so to say that I inherited this, whether through money or through lineage or through blood or through whatever the case may be, there has to be a progression. So when somebody purchases or inherits a a story, a franchise, a history, just like anybody who was a part of a large family, and we have this large history that we can tell. We can afford to write it down on pages. It's 1778, and we can afford to tell our lineage. You work to make it better. You don't disregard it and regress. And so that's where I'm at. I think maybe that's why I'm upset, is that we're regressing, we're not progressing.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Do you remember how you felt when you found out that Disney was, at the time when you found out Disney was purchasing Lucasfilm?
Psyched
And that they were
out of my fucking mind.
Yeah, because if you look back at that time, Marvel was freaking blowing up. I mean, they were killing it with the Marvel movies back then. And so Star Wars was pretty much dead at that point in time. Disney gets it. Everybody's pumped, and then of course it's just ends up being complete trash.
But that's totally not true, right? It hasn't been total trash, and this
not
is
total trash. I mean, there's been some.
This is my.
There's been some good stuff,
but it's like a
sprinkled in there.
90-10. It's like a 9 to 10.
But if you drop your wallet in a freaking porta potty with shit in it, and you got to reach down there and trying to find it, and you pull out a quarter, and you're like, oh, nice, a quarter. Yeah, the quarter's nice, but your hand still has a bunch of shit on it.
Yeah,
that's pretty much Disney Star Wars.
I'm totally with you, Nick. But you know how I protect myself in the situation in the first place is I don't go many places where there are porta potties. I don't put myself in this situation, so I always go for, okay, we're in this situation, we're doing these things, he gave over stewardships. I'm like,
So your answer is to not watch Star Wars?
No, never, because I watch.
You said don't go to the porta potty.
In the analogy, my answer is I don't put myself in the situation where I would have to go in the porta potty in the first place.
So basically, you don't let your expectations get too high on any of it.
You're still gonna have to take a shit. I
am, but given the opportunity, I would take a shit in my own fucking bathroom. Right? This is what I'm talking about, right?
But that's avoiding. If Star Wars is the porta potty, then you're avoiding Star Wars.
I'm not. I'm avoiding it. If you want to go there, I'm avoiding it just because somebody said I couldn't shit in my own bathroom. And you know who that was? That was George fucking Lucas. That's who it was. He said, you have to shit in the porta potty. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, Disney is the porta potty.
Yeah, this is where I go. This is what I go back to, right? It's like let's make sure we understand always how we got here. And then if we don't think that we can go forward, then we should stop watching. Because it's not going backwards. He's not coming back. He's not going to help us move forward. So if we can't move forward, then just fucking give it up.
There's a part of me that kind of feels like this is like the kid who had a really good upbringing, and then when they're 18, the parents are like, it's time for you to leave the house. And then you're 43 and you're like, I fucking hate my parents. They set me up for failure. Like, no, they definitely set you up for success.
Yeah.
And basically we're banging on George Lucas when the failure is not with George.
It is. The failure is a 100%.
No, he just let us. He let it go at 18. It was like, it's not my fucking problem anymore. Onto the world. I can't hate my parent for that.
Okay. So then it's unfixable in your opinion.
Close.
Yeah.
Not 100%.
So that's what I mean. For me, it's fixable. For you,
no, it's not unfixable. It's if the person that was.
It's unfixable.
I'm winding way too many fucking analogies in right now because I was like, if I'm an adult and the beef company is doing what the beef company needs to do.
And then I bring in the porta potty shit thing.
Yeah, and then the fucking porta potty sitting right there. Way too many analogies. No, I just again, to the point, somebody bought Lucasfilm. Somebody bought Star Wars. They bought
No,
the fan
George
base.
George Lucas sold it to
Okay,
somebody. Not
same
somebody
fucking
bought
thing.
it.
Somebody
George
bought it
Lucas
as George
sold
Lucas
it.
sold it. Yeah, it's the same fucking. That's the same fucking thing.
No, it isn't the same thing. You know it.
So nobody bought Lucasfilm when George Lucas sold it.
No, when you say
No, they didn't.
when you say somebody bought it, it's not the same thing as George Lucas sold it, because you abstract the creator from.
What an idiot!
That's all I mean.
I understand what Matt's trying to say. He's basically
No, I
saying
get
they
it.
couldn't
I
have
get
bought it without George saying, "Hey,
Right.
I'm going to sell it to you."
I don't think that was the point I was trying to make.
Yeah.
The point is somebody bought Lucasfilm when George sold it. Just getting you in there. Somebody bought it and they expected it to print money, and they thought they could do anything with it and it would print money. And they have found out that that's not the fucking case.
Nope.
It doesn't print money. You have to actually embody what came before in order to print the money that the machine made before.
Yeah.
I don't understand why you don't agree with that.
But basically where I'm at is whatever they do, like my expectations are so low anyways. I'm just taking each show, each episode at a time, and just taking it for whatever they give me, one step at a time, one day at a time. Maybe there'll be some stuff I like, some stuff I hate, but at the end of the day, I'm a Star Wars fan. Disney can screw it up all day long, every day of the year, but nothing's gonna make me not be a Star Wars fan.
Same with me, Nick. My only point is there seems to be a part of the fandom, and I'm hearing it here tonight, that says it's never going to be as good again as it was when George owned it.
And I don't expect it to be.
George was in charge of it. And I'm not saying I disagree with that.
Oh, shit, I'm not saying that. Don't put words in my mouth.
That's exactly what you said.
No, I am not.
All I'm saying is, how do we move forward? Because George is not involved. He's not coming back. Disney owns it. And so what is the right way to move forward? And don't tell me respect the fans and give me a good story. And
well, those are important things.
Yes, they are. But some of us would argue we've gotten those things. So what is the rest of the recipe that's required to say Star Wars is sustainable? Because I'm not getting it. I'm not getting
Focus on what made Star Wars great.
Which is?
Is that a serious question?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want me to rant? Because I've been drinking. I can rant.
Sure, rant.
Okay. So the first thing is obviously, as always, going to be writing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a little different when it comes to Disney Plus, because you can't write things as movies. You have to write them as shows. That's a whole different kit and caboodle, right? So when it comes to actually writing these things, the first and most important thing is that you actually hire a writer who knows what they're doing. And this argument has been had a million times. Should we hire somebody who's a writer who's familiar with Star Wars, or somebody who's not familiar with Star Wars? I'm still kind of sitting
diversity hire.
Not so much that, but I mean, you look at what happened with Andor, and with Rogue One, you have somebody who really doesn't give a shit about Star Wars, but they can write a good story. So that's the basis, right? Find somebody who can write a good story. The second part is to find somebody who has the vision of Star Wars, somebody who understands the feeling of Star Wars, because you can take any good story in the world. You can take Iliad, the Odyssey. You can take any of those stories. You can put a Star Wars blanket on top of it and make it an amazing movie. That's the second part. The third part is bringing in people who understand how to take that visualization of the world and actually make it real. So people like Doug Chang is always going to be, if you could bring in the ILM department from 77 to 83, the Van Nuys guys, and just fucking stick them in a room and do it all over again, you could make one of the most amazing fucking Star Wars movies in the world. So that kind of love, care, attention, and other than the ILM, this is definitely more on the story side, the love and understanding and the care that it takes to actually understand the vibe of Star Wars. That's the big thing that people don't understand, the entire vibe of Star Wars and how it can be fluid. Sometimes it's one way, sometimes it's the other way, but you have to be able to be fluid as a storyteller and understand exactly what that person should feel when they look at the scene, how they interpret the scene, how they feel in the space. That is what is important to Star Wars. And so if you're asking me, Rissman, what the fuck is it that you want? I want all of those things.
So
and $4 billion fucking dollars should have bought that.
Yeah. So everything you just described, we got in Andor. So I'm like, what else are you looking for? What else is it?
I think we got all that in Andor.
We got everything you just described in the last series, and you didn't like it, because there was snow boots involved. You didn't like it because of the minutia.
They have to make it fun.
No.
Star Wars is
Okay,
fun.
hold on.
Andor's missing fun.
Yeah, don't misinterpret my nitpicks with the fucking boots and the fucking
I was
AK-47s.
just waiting to see what you were going to say that was different than the best series we've gotten.
Again,
and Nick's,
don't misinterpret. Hold on, let me finish. Don't misinterpret the hate for the boots or the AK-47s and stuff like that. The thing that was missing in Andor, because I feel like that show could have been perfect, was something that we discussed way back in the beginning of the episode, is that Star Wars is campy. And you agreed with me. Andor was not, and it was not good for the brand because we took something and we made it not campy. We grounded it. And like I said, I am just as guilty of being the person saying that we need a grounded Star Wars show. We need it. And then I got it and I said, that's fucking wrong. So I will step all over my own dick on that one. That was the problem with Andor, because other than that, yeah, it was a great show. Great show.
Just wasn't fun enough.
Okay, I'm done ranting. Thank you, everybody, for swallowing that. That was a lot. We got a super chat from John Cocosa. Okay, so I just re-edited the episode, exporting the video. Let's go. We'll put in my Star Wars Dropbox and share the link with you guys on Twitter DMs. Hell
Sweet.
yeah.
Looking forward to it.
Hell yeah. And then Toddzilla hopped in the chat for $2. What X-Wing just said. Mike, drop. I am open for any other discussion.
No, I'm good. I've said everything I need to say.
By the way, everybody in the chat, Rissman and I love each other. We do the shit constantly.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
not just,
no. I mean,
this is not just a stream thing. We do it on text.
No. It's totally with love. Nick knows.
Yeah, I know.
Why can't we have both? Andor was so Lucasless. While I didn't mind it, it didn't feel like Lucas. Andor was not the end-all be-all of Star Wars. If they had to cut the show down and stop being so pretentious, then maybe people would have been more pulled in. Andor was not a good character. I liked Andor himself. I think he was okay.
Yeah, I'm fine with the character. I liked a lot of things in the show. Like, probably my favorite was the when the TIE fighter pilots were running to the TIE fighters and boarding the TIE fighters.
I think what it comes down to is Star Wars, as all of us, myself included, think about Star Wars. It's not a drama. It's an action adventure, fantasy something.
Soap opera almost.
So, yeah, so totally soap opera. Awesome. But when we get grounded in something that's very dramatic and a bit sad, or a bit too much real worldy.
Yeah.
We kind of we're like, oh no, I don't want to see that. I think
real worldy is the big thing that kind of sticks out. Yeah, because
definitely.
I mean, sad is not a thing. I mean, look at the end of Revenge of the Sith. That's widely regarded as some of the best Star Wars. That's extremely sad, but it's not grounded. not grounded in reality by any stretch of the imagination.
For me, the difference with Revenge of the Sith was it wasn't so much that it was sad, it was just that it was disappointing, right? Some of the other things we've gotten with Andor and the rest of it has been sad because it reminds us, that our existence is a bit sad, and we don't watch these things. We watch these things to be, escapist, right? So again, I for me, it's a different thing, right?
Who's the Hanger Bay Daimyo, by the way? Who is this?
It's Brendan the Lupa.
Oh, it's a Loompa?
Yeah.
I'm like, man, I saw him in a couple chats today. I'm like, who the fuck is that? Yeah, Blood Guilty Gaming says X-Wing versus Rissman is something I look forward to every week. And let's give a couple claps in the chat if we can for Nick from Echo Base Network hanging out tonight. Thank you so much for being here. I know you work in. I appreciate you being here. Thanks for being kind of the moderator as Rissman and I constantly go at each other's necks on these late nights. I love it.
Yeah. Appreciate the invite. Had fun.
I think that's it. That's all I had. Rissman, is there anything you wanted to say before you pop out?
Almost 3.5 hours.
Dude, this was a long fucking late night. I was expecting like an hour and 10 minutes.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
And Coach and I will be discussing a lot of the same stuff tomorrow night.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna give you that episode of X-Wing and Chewie's Adventures one more time, and then we're out of here for the night. Rissman and Nick, I hope I see you guys afterwards. And everybody, have a good night. Thank you so much. We love you. Let's not forget Star Wars. Because I already told you, I'm not lost. Yeah, whatever you say.
Fuck George Lucas.
Hyperdrive's acting up again, Chewie. We gotta get this thing down. What's that planet right there? Earth, huh? I got a bad feeling about this. I don't know. Call it intuition, but you remember those two jabronis we met back on Echo Base? They were from Earth. So, put the shields up. Alright, what's that landmass right there? Ship says Nevada? I don't care how you pronounce it, but if we don't get this thing on the ground, we're going to wind up in pieces. All right, Chewie, start the landing process. I'll see if I can get somebody on comms. What an absolute shithole. All right, I was joking, but that was just mean. We made it. It's gonna be a couple hours until we get that hyperdrive fixed. See if there's anything entertaining on this planet.